Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Loreweek. This will be a little bit less busy than last week, which I'm okay with because last week was crazy. Yeah, it just, whew. Yeah, last week was a thing. I'm pushing back show news a bit because I want to talk to you all about that and I want to get as much live feedback as I can. So, for those of you who pop in at the very beginning, for the show news, there will be a timestamp for the show news. Please be able to skip forward to it. Please look forward to it. There will also be a poll. So anybody who has put any money towards the show or continues to put money towards the show via any method, please be there for that thing in the VOD. Okay. Now, random news, my favorite kind of news. Deltarune Chapter 2 had my personal favorite method of information dropping. I talk so much about how much I hate it when someone announces a game that's coming out in X years, or 5 years, or we don't even know how many years. And Undertale, they had the Undertale anniversary last week. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, Chapter 2 is coming out tomorrow. I do love that. I do get it. You know, in an ideal world, that's still not perfect, but it's awesome. I haven't played it. I have no plans to play it. Deltarune is funded, but we're waiting until the game is out, and there are 5 chapters, and we'll get to there when we get to there, which will be whenever, because who knows how long that'll take it, probably a few more years. Final Fantasy XIV had a showcasing recently where they were like, hey, here's some actual details and stuff. Cool. I actually don't have much to say about it. In fact, I haven't actually had time to go through and watch it. We'll see how that all pairs out when it comes out. Supposedly they're doing stuff to both healers in general, tanks in general, and nothing for scholars because nobody cares about scholars, am I right? I will say this, just in brief. One of the things that I've complained about mightily is how healers are expected to DPS. Now, the reason I complain about that, to be very clear, is not that I'm against healers DPSing. That's not actually the problem. The problem is heroes DPSing is really, really boring. There are 3 buttons. You got your dot, your AoE, and your nuke. That's not gameplay, to be blunt. If they made actual healer DPSing fun and interesting, I would have no complaints about it. And, well, we've also got the Sage coming out, so we'll see if they actually address that problem with that. It is entirely possible that the Sage will prove to be, let's call it a test bed, for making actually interesting healing DPS. We'll see. We'll see. There are methods. There are plenty of methods in RPGs in general, and MMOs in specific to make healer DPSing actually engaging and fun. WoW has done it several times. Lotro's drifted into that territory. Guild Wars 2 kind of does its own thing, so we'll see. That's it for random news, believe it or not. Real quick, thank you, Zachariah Jebediah. Much appreciate the sub as always. If you know where you want that to go, please let me know. And thank you, FN Craig. As always and ever. If you know where you want that to go, please let me know. I do have that document up, right? I do. Here it is. Found it. Dealer's choice, you got it. Did they really, us Diesel? That's funny. Because they've kind of sucked ever since, you know, the 90s, when the last time they actually rocked. And Hollow Knight, you got it, FN Craig. Okay, so that's it for random news. Let's go ahead and move on to the THQ Nordic showcase. It's a sports team on Falkenstein. A gridiron sports team. Which, I mean, this may sound like a strange thing. I don't want to be persnickety about the fact that there's 2 sports both named football. But if I really think gridiron sounds cooler. Like, regardless of any... no, just gridiron sounds cool, right? Why can't we just call it gridiron? Hell yeah! I like gridiron. Anyways, whatever. Thank you, Furry Philosopher, very much. That is exactly how you do it. You say it right there. I say thank you. I write it down in my document right over here. Furry Philosopher. Gotta make sure I spell that right. To Grim Fandango. THQ Nordic. I glanced through this. I'll be linking all of the YouTube announcement vids they had. Destroy All Humans 2 is getting a remaster. Don't really have much to say about this. It looked amusing and kind of cool. You know, There's evil Russians, apparently. I don't know. I never actually played Destroy All Humans, so I don't really have much to say about it. Spongebob SquarePants is getting a game called The Cosmic Shake, which I have no idea what this is. I don't know if this is a sequel, a remaster. I have no idea what this is. It certainly seems to be on brand as being total nonsense, based on the trailer I saw, which showed no gameplay and no anything whatsoever. That's a trend, by the way. However, it is the same team, the same development team, that made Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. Specifically Rehydrated, so I'm guessing it's a remaster or something. Outcast 2, A New Beginning. This is funny. This is actually the second sequel to Outcast that's been announced, and then, well, the last one was cancelled. Hopefully this one will not be cancelled. Lots of panning shots of terrain, no gameplay, recurring trend. Jagged Alliance 3 was announced. Okay, they actually did show a tiny bit of gameplay here. Look, it's being developed by the people who made Tropico, which is not great, and Surviving Mars, which I haven't played, so I have no idea if that's good or bad. Either way, that's the devs working on it. It seems to have a pretty clean and interesting UI. They showed off a little bit of it, and it looked kind of XCOM-y, turn-based-y. You know, options in combat. The HUD was clean and pretty evocative, so it looks cool. It looks cool. That's something, right? Then we show off Superpower 3, which showed off nothing. I have no idea what that's about. So I've got nothing to share. Then they showed off MX versus ATV Legends, which they showed off nothing. So I have no idea what to say about that. Then they showed off Elex 2, where they showed off nothing. I'm sorry, that's not quite true. In Elex 2, they showed off a bunch of cutscenes of someone saying, "There's evil coming." Yeah, but I'm busy. "There's evil coming." Yeah, but I'm busy. "There's evil coming." Well, I'm kind of busy. And then that was the thing. I never played LX1. In fact, I've never even heard of LX1. So I have no idea what that's about. And as usual, they didn't show off anything. Then they showed off Expeditions Rome. Now, I'm mentioning this one last specifically because every single one of the other games they showed off was just kind of like a brief teaser at best. In some cases, not even a teaser. For Expeditions Rome, they sat down with two of the developers and showed off some actual goddamn gameplay. For those of you who don't remember, we played an Expeditions game on camera. We played Expeditions Viking, which I rather enjoyed. It was kind of a... It wasn't a great game, but it was a good game, and I enjoyed the overall format. Expeditions Rome seems to be that +1, which I'm absolutely in favor of. I wrote down some notes here. There's going to be multiple difficulty selections. There's going to be a toggle for whether or not combat death is permanent or not, and a toggle for Iron Man mode. Each party member is going to have their own loyalty bar, which is showing how loyal they are to you, which will affect certain things in the narrative, as well as what they do going forwards. Excuse me. We also have the same combat HUD is pretty much the same as it was in Expeditions Viking. It's a little cleaned up. There's lots of information on the mouse over. Looks very thorough in what you can do. The skills are being given to you. So you have a bunch of skills you can use in combat. Those are determined not just by your class and your individual, but also by your equipment. So you can do certain special abilities with a spear that you couldn't with a gladius and whatever. There are a bunch of options of dialogue, as usual. The game is set during, just after the end of the Roman Republic, and covers that first decade thereafter, when the Roman Empire was becoming a thing, the first Roman Empire. There is a strategy layer. They showed the least of this, they just kind of teased this, but there is going to be a gradient success meter, and the more successful you are, the more loot you get from the battle. It shows you the numbers, formation. Each formation you can decide for your troops gives you bonuses and detriments. It's a top-down thing, so you see like the units on the screen like that. Uncertain if you actually do anything or if you just watch the results. It's not clear. Like I said, it was just a brief teaser. However, there is a bunch of stuff you can do in your war camp, assign who does what and where, which is pretty much the evolution of the camping mechanic that was back in Expeditions Viking. You know, and set you to cook and set you to clean and set you to repair, you know, all that stuff. Same kind of concept, and that'll be something you do in your war camps. It looks really cool. No release date. But at least they showed off some actual freaking gameplay. What a novel concept. That's actually it for the THQ showcase. I sat through like an hour presentation to give you that 6-minute run-through. Let's talk about show news. Real quick, so just yet another reminder that the theater is going to be a thing for the next several weeks. The next 9 weeks, off the top of my head. Every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be doing a live director's commentary of those. And obviously they then go on the VOD, and that commentary is saved for future viewing. That's just going to be a thing. That means no morning streams on Saturday henceforth. I have adjusted the schedule on the Twitch page to accommodate that. There will be no streams on Mondays for the foreseeable future, just to make sure that I'm getting that out there. That's something I've also adjusted the schedule to be aware of. I have my surgery dates, plural. So on the 5th, which is a Tuesday, I have to go in for the initial thing. And the actual no-really surgery will be on the 14th of October. So that's a little out. It's just under a month from now. Yes, you can still access the commentary after the premiere. There'll be a little button on the right. You can say, like, show live commentary, whatever the heck the actual button is. But there'll be a button there, and it'll show the commentary and all the chat after the premiere. So it's there forever. That's the whole point of doing it that way. So, one of the biggest things I want to discuss with you all is the list. Specifically the list. The queue I'm pretty happy with. I think the queue is in a good place. Just pull up the website right here really quick. In fact, I meant to do this earlier, and I'm an idiot because I was really slow in getting ready for the day because I've just been really busy today. But we go to the website here. First thing I want to do is a little PSA for anybody who actually puts money towards the show. I kind of mentioned that earlier. There we go. So there's the website. Hey, website. You notice this scrolling text in the upper left here? That is the recently funded games. And I just want to mention that and bring attention to that because some people still haven't noticed it, and that is where you see which games have most recently been funded. Ergo, you know, that's a good way to check, hey, is this game that I am interested in, or is this game funded? It's a super quick thing. It takes like 5 seconds, and there it is. Right now, we only show the 5 most recent games. If we get to the point where games are being funded more quickly, I will go ahead and increase that number because that's extremely easy to change. It's literally just changing a variable and then done. Okay. So the queue is fine. Everything's fine about the queue. But as just a little bit of an FYI for anybody not really aware of how this works, there's our current block, there's our current game, and then you see the games pretty much in the order that we'll be playing them in as we go down. Some of this stuff is, of course, locked and waiting because it's not out yet. And this, we'll ignore that for now. So that's the queue, but here's the list. Now, there's a link to a spreadsheet, which I am not doing a great job of keeping up to date on because most people don't care. But on the off chance you've never seen this page, you can sort by how much priority it is. In other words, how funded it is. You can sort by the name. So you can sort by priority in both directions. You can sort by how many people have put money towards it, how long it's been in the list, name, and then there it is. So those are your sort options. And short, medium, long, picks, and streaminations are all separate pages. Now, streaminations page is actually currently not up to date, thanks to a bug, which has actually been fixed as of this morning. But obviously, I haven't had a chance to implement that because that was just this morning. But this will be fixed soon, and this will then update with the actual streaminations. There's no good way to deal with this problem, and that's why this is going to be a poll, and this is why I want actual feedback, because right now we have the list spread out across 4 pages. There's the stuff I'm interested in, which is right there, the long games, the medium games, and the short games, right? We used to have all this smashed into one page, but the problem with that, well, there's 2 problems with that. One of all is, you can already see this is a rather long list, despite the fact that it's only 1/4 of the games there. But the other problem was the fact that they were still sorted out by category. So, you know, you could see, like, this category of medium games is down here. And a lot of people would apparently just look at the short games list and not realize there was a second list below it, like down here. So that didn't work out all that great, so we decided to go ahead and do this thing where we have, you know, the nice, obvious, hey, here's where the guide is, the legend, and here's the links to it. However, we have continued to have issues with this. I think at this point, no matter what we do, we're going to have issues. That's really why this is kind of a question rather than a, you know, what's the correct answer kind of a deal. Because I'm not sure what the best option is, because we have 3 broad answers that I'm aware of. So we can do what we do right now, which has each category be on its own page. We can have all the categories be on one page, or the third option is not have categories at all, just have one giant list of however many 100 games it is at this point. What do you think? Now, the detriments of having everything on one giant list is pretty obvious, but the benefit is you can just hit Control F and say, I want to see, let's pick a random game down here. There we go, Rayman. So, Rayman. There's Rayman. And you can just see Rayman right there and just search for it right there. Not everyone knows how to control F. No problems there, but... If we put all the categories on one page, we will go back to the previous issue, but it'll all be visible on one page. You won't have to click around like this to get to them. I'll actually probably leave this and just put tags so you can click long games, and what it'll do is it'll scroll down to the long games thing. This is, stuff like this kind of makes me laugh just a little bit. This is a very common strategy. A lot of people will put $2 or $5 towards a game, and then it'll just sit there forever and never be touched again. As you can see, there's quite a few games which have, you know, that done with them. That's true even for shorter games. Check it out. Look at all these. Look at that. You get the point, though. What's the requirement? You know, I don't remember the exact numbers. Obviously, all of this is estimates because I don't know how long a game's going to be, but if you give me a moment, I can check here. I'm trying to remember the exact numbers. Let's check. Okay, so I believe that's a medium. Hang on. No? Is that a long? Hang on, let's go back to long. Nope. Oh, it's under mine, isn't it? No, that doesn't count. All right, hang on. Where's something that I'm not interested in? Let's pull a non-lores pick here. Here we go. Suikoden. That's a good example. Okay, so Suikoden. So Suikoden is in medium. That's expected. Let's try... Overlord. Is that here? Yep, that's there. How about... Yep. Okay, so it looks like 14 hours and under is short, 15 hours to 29 hours is medium, and 30 hours and up is long. And that appears to be the rough way it's categorized. You're probably thinking, why don't you know? Well, I have a script that does it these days, so I'm just kind of guessing. No, von Falkenstein. There's not really any reason to do that at this point. And we used to do that, and that honestly introduced way more hassles than it needed to be. Javan has an interesting point. We don't have to pick and choose. I didn't even think about that. We could have just everything in one gigantic list, and then have the categories, and then have the separate pages here. I'll have to make a short games page, but that's easy. Well, the biggest issue I have with the current layout, the biggest complaint I tend to get is that people only see the short games list. And they're like, they look at this and they think this is the list, the entirety of the list, and they never see anything else on it. I should probably mention, you can't quite see it, but here in the upper right, we actually do have a sort thing. So you can sort and look for Ruiner, and hey, there's Ruiner right there. Well, the Streaminations will be sorted. That's easy. It's just that was a bug. That's been fixed. Yeah. The Streaminations are actually up to date here because technically they're being tracked as Lore's picks. So, like, there's Witcher, you know, right there. And if we scroll way down, we'll probably find the other ones here. Somewhere. Oh, yeah, there's Futurama right there. Don't worry, that's fixed. We'll make it. Can I make them collapsible? Probably. I have no idea how to, but I'm sure that's a thing that can happen. I'm kind of liking Javan's idea now that I'm thinking in that direction. So we'll have the list. You know, you click this page and it pulls up this page, and we'll get rid of this picture here. Just be gone with that, and put the guide up here with links to individual pages for anybody who's more interested in that. And then we'll just have the list. Although, if we're doing that, why even have that? You know what I think I'm going to do? Yes, they are 5. I think I'm going to change my mind. I think I'm just going to axe the idea of short, medium, long for this. And instead just... I have no idea what that is, Remaster. And just have the list, and everything will be here, right? And then there will be... Everything except Streamination, excuse me. And then there will be a Lore's Pick page for people who don't want to sort through this and just want to see the stuff I'm interested in. And then the Streaminations page. And I think that's what we'll do. That's a good idea. So, hang on. Let me pull this off here. And let me do a live test and see what this is going to look like. So let's pull this up. Well, that's tough, Hazardous. Sucks to be you. All right, so... I need to... Okay. Where is that? Where did I put that? There it is. This is going to sound like the dumbest complaint. I never remember how to download files from GitHub. Does anybody else ever have that issue? You're staring at it, it's like, how do I download? Because there's nothing obvious to do that, and it's always this weird thing. There we go, download zip. Every time. I pull a lot of stuff from GitHub, too, and it's like, oh yeah, I clicked the code button. Right. Well, what's your complaint, Hazardous? Real question. Like, what is the complaint you have? Because you haven't told me a complaint. You've just said, I like the current system. Okay, so... how do I want to do this? I need to do this. Let's do a backup first. Always do a backup before we do this kind of thing. Go into here. And then we drop it into here. Yes. Okay. And then we get rid of this. Then we pull this up here. Then we run. And we pray that this works. We'll laugh if it doesn't. Pull up the website. Make sure we're no longer streaming my page. I'm no longer streaming the page, so nobody can see me logging in to the website. Let's see here. Pages. The list. Edit. Waiting patiently. I mean, you'll still be able to sort by how much something is funded, Hazardous. That isn't changing. The priority is pretty self-evident. Okay, so let's do... let me think how I'm going to do this. Neither. Pokemon are better. Alright, so let's do this. Get rid of this. I don't know how to do a collapsible right now. I can look into it, Hazardous, obviously. But for right now, we're going to test this idea. Let's see how this works. So let's do this. I mean, you know people would do that, Valerian. Alright, and then we've got this. I wonder how many games are actually on this list now. Like, I don't really have an easy way to check that at this point. Someone shoot Von Falkenstein for me, please. Just right in the face. Just a quick one. Make it easy. What I've been thinking about doing to kind of compromise with you on this, Hazardous, is adding yet another sort priority. This would require some work, but right now the estimated time is already there, right? So what we would do is we would go ahead and make a thing so you could sort by length, by estimated length, and then have that be a sortable function as well. That would require some work because the script would have to change, the output text would have to change, and then we'd have to add a new sort function. But I think that is doable. It's just it'd be something we'd have to do. Okay, so then we have Lore's list, and then we have the Streaminations page. So, Streaminations, looks like it's actually grabbing it correctly. Yay! It's working. Update. And then let's do that. Let's do this. Go. And update. There, someone check the Streaminations page. Make sure it's working, please. And we need my list. Oops, I already pulled that up. We need the list. I am not going to do that, Larry. I'm sorry. I get the logic. I get the reasoning. I get why people say it. We have tried that so many times and so many different methods in the past, and every single time it's turned out badly. and has just caused issues, has a problem, so... okay. That's there, so I need to get rid of this. Yeah, today we're listening to, hopefully, the rest of the thing. That thingy of the thing. The FF4 soundtrack, there we go. I notice you're not responding to my intended compromise, Hazardous. Is this? Should I take this as a sign? Is this just? Am I audible? Can people hear me? I know it. Hazardous just secretly hates me. It's okay. I don't blame him. I mean, I hate me too, right? Does anybody not hate themselves? Is that a thing? Is anybody like that? All right. So, and then we pull up this. And then we pull up this, which is somewhere. There it is. Your response is that that doesn't respond to what I said at all, though, Hazardous. This has no acknowledgement of my response whatsoever. Okay, so we got that. Well, if we do the sort by length thing, by the nature of how the sort function would work, it would literally have to have the length, the estimated, obviously, length of the game in the bar, which is getting really full at this point, honestly. And so if you were to sort by length, you could see literally the estimated hours rather than saying long. It would say 35 or 87 or whatever. That is something I could do. I don't know if I could do a collapsible thing. That's why I'm not even willing to commit to that, because I have no idea if that's actually possible or not. I could do the other thing. Okay, the list. Let's pull up the list right now. Let's check it. It's a couple games. Looks like it is working correctly, though. Except for the image. I forgot to change the image. Let's fix that really quick. There it is. Let's fix this. There. So that should be up to date now. So now if you go to the list, you'll see everything. Sortable, of course. And there's a link to just my picks, if that's something you're interested in, and there's a link to the streaminations, which is kept entirely on a separate page. So we got my picks, which also includes the extant stuff. And then we've got streaminations, and we can just navigate around. Everything seems to be working just fine. How do I get the link there? I could remove the days on list variable. It was requested by only a few people, and I haven't heard any feedback whatsoever about it. So getting rid of the days on list is not exactly a hard thing to do. It's going to be on my side anyways. If you remember, the days on list thing has been there for a while on my side. It was just people requested me to put it on the website as well. So we can get rid of that and replace that with a estimated hours is probably what I'd call it. So like you'd see Cadence of Hyrule there. Don't save, don't save. Yeah, I know, it's weird. I actually do have a website. Who knew? I mean, Days on List shows how long it's been since this game has been funded. It's something I do plan to announce once we get to... If we ever get to the point of running a game where I started keeping track of that, which we're not at yet and won't be for a while. No, Ross. Correct. Priority, I mean, it should be obvious if you look at it visually. Priority is how much the bar is full. That's the funding right there. And that takes into account everything. I wish Zalog was here. Could bug him about this idea. I apparently did Imperial Star Destroyer. I don't even... let me scroll up a bit here. Other than the idea of dumping the games, which I already said we're not doing, which you've said twice now, I don't see anything commenting about that. It's one of those interesting problems, too. Let me explain one of the problems with, like, for example, rather than absolutely axing a game, what we could do is anything that's, you know, not particularly funded, probably anything that's only at like the 1% range, which is quite a bit, just go ahead and dump that onto a separate page and put that as the, like, we'll call it the low funded page, right? The problem is we've basically consigned that to the dustbin. Putting it in the low funded page may reduce some of the clutter, but all it does is pretty much guarantee it's going to stay on the low funded page. Yeah, it's the vault concept all over again, which really didn't work out. And the vault was a bad idea, well, bad implementation and bad everything, so that was a no. I'll bug Third. He's the one who helps me with the sorting algorithm. And I'll bug Zalog, because he's the one who helps me with the script. And I'll see about your idea houses. I'll see about getting the estimated time in there. I think... Let me ask you something. Real, legitimate question. How many of... Yeah, exactly, houses. How many of you acknowledge or care about the color legend? How many of you know what the color legend means? Is that a thought here? What is color? Baby, don't hurt me. Because I can keep it. I can keep it. Even though the information on how many people is funded is actually in the bar. You know, you can see 49 people have put money towards WoW BC, for example. The color is a quick, immediate visual indicator of how much interest there is in a game. Which, you know... Yeah, the whole point of the color is to be interested at a glance. It's also kind of helpful, like, you'll see, so I have it sorted by priority right now. So the highest funded game by priority is actually Cadence of Hyrule, but Cadence of Hyrule Lufia 1 and Star Ocean 2, which are the top three, are all yellows. Whereas Halo Wars 2 is a orange, and then we have a couple of yellows again, and then a green, and then a purple. You know what I find funny? The priority list legend is right there. It's right there. It even says, and I quote, level of interest is indicative of how many supporters have put money towards the run. This is Interface Design 102, by the way. This is, no matter where you put the information for the interface, people will miss it and ignore it. That's just life. That's just how that is. Okay. We should probably go ahead and keep the color coding. As someone pointed out in chat, if absolutely nothing else, it is useful to have the color distinction. That's exactly why I was asking, Walker. Because we could go ahead and change the color from being amount of interest to length of game. Right? Like, we could switch that around. It'll be a bit of a shift, and it'll take some work, but it could be doable, right? But if enough people have a value of the interest thing, then that, you know, that's what it is. Wow, there are a lot of blues down here. There's a couple of yellows down here, too. Holy crap. And there's only so many things we can do visually with this. In fact, we're already doing all of them. You notice how there's like a little outline, a little shading on the stuff that has my icon on it? That's about it. That's the extent of what we can do, and we're already doing that for stuff that I have interest in. No, Mike Romano. I still haven't figured out what's causing that bug. It's intermittent and only for certain browsers. I have no idea why it's doing that. Nothing seems to be inaccurate. In fact, I can't even replicate that right now, which is weird, because I've been able to replicate that bug before. So, no is the answer to your question. I don't even know how to replicate the bugs efficiently in order to even begin diagnosing what's causing that. That's true. The unfilled part of the bar is darker and more jumping out if it's something I have interest in. At the right end of the funding, create a colored circle. Time to explain yourself, Mr. Red. Because I don't understand your suggestion. Sorry, I'm thinking. Looks like 410 days is as long as I've been sorting by time. Whatever, I'll see if I can get the duration thing there. Oh my god. I have... no. Hazardous. Ignoring the fact that that would be a colossal pain to do, because what I'd have to do is I'd have to create a custom table for that. The real problem with that would be... it would be so difficult to actually see. Like, if you pay attention... like, look at the list right now. Look at Super Mario Sunshine. That, on my page, which is at a 1080p, is already filling up most of that bar, right? Like, if we shrink that to, like, here, that's just, yeah, that does not look great, and the text just starts bleeding off of it. And that's what would happen if we do the separate columns, is the text will just start bleeding all over the place. What is this, EU4, F and Craig? So create a circle at the right end of the funding bar. Yeah, it also needs to be legible on smartphones. I don't understand why that doesn't help. Could you explain that to me, Hazes? Because I feel like I'm completely missing why being able to see the game length doesn't help you. Why does that not assist in your problem? Like, if you look at if you look at the bar right here, I have to do this manually, but if you were to look at Legend of Legaia, you would see 37, for example. 37H is actually probably how I'd format it. So 37, just like we have in the cube. So 37H, if you look at Cadence of Hyrule, that would have 8H. Lufia 1 would have 30H. Star Ocean 2 would have 38H. Halo Wars would have 12H. What's next? Mario. Alright, Sunshine would have 20H, etc., 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 etc. I'm pretty sure if you're suggesting what I think you are, Mr. Red, that that's not possible, but we'll check. That is super not possible. Man, actually, as I'm saying that, I can kind of think how I can make that happen. And that's... okay. No, that's because it not only would that not take into account different resolutions, different formats, like different browsers and different phones, you know, actual work, but that would look really weird. Okay, hazardous. So you need to know the length of the funding, which I just told you about, and you need to know the level of priority, which is already present. So what about the fact that you would see the actual exact, to the hour, length of the game on the bar would not inform you of the game length? Like, I'm offering you a Coke, and you're saying, no, I want a Coke. And I'm like, but there's a Coke. Well, yeah, but I want a Coke. It's Coke! What do you want from me? And of course, it turns out you actually want cocaine, and that's just the sort of source of all our problems here. I don't actually have any cocaine. I'm sorry. I don't do drugs. I think the hardest thing I have is a leave. You might want new Coke. That's a good point. There's a lot of different kinds of Coke. That's a good point. Every soda is Coke. No! Or cola. Anybody ever do that? You go to the restaurant, you just ask for a cola, and they somehow know what you mean by that? Thank you, Eclectic, very much. As always, and as ever. Yeah, there's Coke with real sugar, which, question mark? And then there's Coke with fake sugar, and then there's Coke original taste, and then there's, like, I don't even know what anymore. You go to the grocery store, and the Coca-Cola section is, I swear to God, a third of the soda. The soda aisle is just Coca-Cola. So what's a mess about it? Be communicative. What is a mess about the situation right now? Obviously, the hours aren't there because I haven't put them there, but what's the problem? Eclectic Oak for Okami, Hollow Knight, Outer Wilds, and Donuts. Thank you, Eclectic, again, very, very much, as always. I can't stand Diet Coke. Then again, I can't stand Diet Coke or caffeine Coke. Caffeine-free Coke. Okay, let's do a test. Let's manually put in some hours, just so you can kind of see it. It won't be sortable by hours, obviously, because that requires code. But I can at least kind of show off like an idea of what it'll look like. So let's do Cadence, which is an 8-hour game. So it'll be actually, let's not do that. Let's just do 8H, like I was saying. And then, what else is funded? I'm not looking at it anymore. Hang on. Let's pull up the list again. Okay, Lufia 1. Okay, so let's do Lufia 1. Lufia, which is a 30-hour game. 30H. And then what's next? Star Ocean. Can someone write this in chat? Star Ocean 2, Halo Wars 2, Legend of Legaia, Super Mario Sunshine Switch. Just write those down really quick. So Star Ocean. No. Ideally, I would have a script. There's no way I'm doing this by hand. These are several hundred things. There's no way in hell I'm able to do this by hand. I mean, I don't have that kind of time. I barely have time to exercise in the morning right now. Halo Wars is next. So that's going to be 12. And I'm doing this mostly because I want you to see kind of the idea of what it would look like. Get a little... Because that's how I tend to work. I like to see the result and see what I think of that. What was after Halo Wars? Nobody remembered. Of course, nobody remembers. Hang on, I'll pull up the list again. After Halo Wars is Legend of Legaia. Legaia. There we go. Is right here, which is a 37-hour game. And then last one was Sunshine. 20-hour game. Yep, there it is. 20H. Okay. Updates. Let's see what this actually looks like, shall we? So, refresh. Get hold. No, I can't do any text modification in the field. I don't like that, but hang on. Let me see if I can brute force what this would look like. Is it? Yeah. It doesn't say that here, does it? No, of course it doesn't. I don't think I could brute force what I want to do. I think I'd actually have to start editing the sword code to make this happen. Because right now, that 317 days on the list, that's actually a program, a script, to punch that out. So what I'm thinking is, let's get rid of that. Nobody cares. Like, 3 people cared. Let's just axe that entirely. And so what the theoretical final text would be Cadence of Hyrule, colon, $193, comma, 8 hours, and then parentheses, 14 parentheses, and then it'd be yellow, and it'd be partially full, and it would be highlighted to show that it's a game I'm interested in. And that would probably be the final format to do the hours thing, and that way it'd be a little less cluttered, which is already a problem we're running into, and more obvious where the hours thing is, because that 8H, that 30H, that 38H are not super obvious at a glance to my eyes. And that is going to require code. So and unlike all the other changes I've made today, I can't just undo that with a button press. So I need to decide if we're committing to this now. Because like everything I've done today, the condensement, I can undo that with a quick undo button on the website. That's easy. Halo Wars 2 is 4th most funded right now, Zacto. It's not funded yet. It's just getting there. So, a few months out, probably. Make that option. I kind of wish I could format text inside the bars, but I can't. One of the earliest ideas we had was to, like, portray some of the text in bold to make it pop out a better, so it's not just a line of random mishmash of text that kind of your eyes blur at looking at, you know? Like, look at Star Ocean 2 right now. It's Star Ocean 2 PSP, $406, 38 hours, 410 days on the list, 14 people putting money towards it. And it's just too much. And there's nothing I can do to change that. There's no formatting possible. It's either it's all bold, or excuse me, it all has the shadow, like the highlighted ones are, or it's all just text, and those are the options. And I only have like 7 options for colors too. That's why we have such a small range for that. What I could do. How many people care about the money? How many people care about the money being visible there? Because I've never heard anyone care about that before. So I need feedback. And apparently I already have 2 people who care about it. I'm just trying to think of how we can clean this up a little bit. And getting rid of text is the easiest way to clean this up. I'm going to ask a really dumb question. How is that important information? Well, the bar is representative of the priority. That's how you tell how funded a game is, yeah. I don't agree with that sentence, Imperial Star Destroyer, but that's okay. I get that question all the time. No, seriously. One of the most common questions I get is, how much money does it cost to fund a game? And the answer is, I don't charge money. I charge priority. I have no idea how much money it costs. Jongo was recently asking me how much money it would make for God of War to happen, and my answer was, well, let me manually run the numbers and give you a range. Somewhere, that's what I had to do. I had to manually run the numbers and give him a range of number of people at max and number of money at max, and this is how much it costs. Yeah, if I was to get rid of the money number being visible there, you could still see exactly how funded it is. That's how full the bar is. That's why I'm asking. So yes, Hazardous, the question is being seriously asked. The money is obviously mandatory for my end. I literally need how much money has been put towards a run. But I'm curious why you do. Yeah, the bar itself is how funded it is. It's the first time I've said that in like a minute. The other reason, extremely unlikely, Zach Elsmer. The other reason I'm asking is, like, for example, I'm sorting by priority right now. So you look at the top of the list and you see Cadence of Hyrule. It has $193 put towards it. That game is more funded than Lufia 1, which has $694 put towards it. Now that makes perfect sense because I don't charge money, I charge priority. But again, I'm wondering how that is relevant for you all to see. Now I'll leave it. If you can give me a good argument, that's cool. I'm not exactly invested in this. I'm just trying to think of how to clean up the text a little bit. We could get rid of the parentheses too. No, I've gotten repeated feedback of people who like seeing how many people put towards a run. I've gotten that comment a lot. Never had anyone talk about the money, but I've had a lot of people talk about the people. So we'll keep the people. That's staying. That's the number in the parentheses. So we've got... So that's staying, and the name of the game obviously has to stay. Those two are mandatory. I'm okay with axing days on the list. The more I think about it, the more I'm cool with just removing that figure. Unfortunately, I literally can't do a mock-up to see what that's going to look like. You are the only person to say so, Javan. Do you mind explaining why? Oh, haha, effing Craig. It will just have colored bars. You can just figure out which game is which. That is valid, Hazardous, assuming you're someone who knows how the system works, which most of you are, who put money towards the show. Knowing the amount of money and knowing the funders both does give you more information to do that. That's valid. So that's a good reason, and I'll lose that battle. So we'll keep the money, we'll keep the funders, we'll keep the name. We can't change the text color or font or bold or italics or do anything with it whatsoever. So no, Dark Prince Revan. Unfortunately, that's not an option. Yeah, days on the list is... So the only reason I started tracking days on the list is because it's valuable information for me for certain types of games. It's not valuable in general, but if there's a game that Javan has put a lot of money towards, and no one else, and that game has been sitting there on the list for a while, that's the kind of game that Dealer's Choice will start going towards in order to try and boost its figures a bit because it's been sitting there for a while. And obviously he has an interest in it, so I will put the extra people's interest in it in order to balance that out, right? Since I'm still putting Dealer's Choice towards things you all want, because that we haven't shifted that policy yet. So that's why days on the list is useful for me. That is, to my knowledge, its only use. If there's another use other than just general info, I'm not sure. Yeah, like the Avengers game, which I asked the 3 people who donated for it. They said, yeah, keep it on the list. I'm like, okay. And that game's probably never getting funded. It is way down. It's at 410 days on the list. 5 people put money towards it. And that's not even a eighth funded. And so that's probably just sitting there until it's abandoned. So I think axing days on list and possibly not possibly, absolutely replacing it with hours or length of... So what I'm trying to think of the simplest format to demonstrate length of game, and I'm thinking just literally a number and then hours is probably the simplest, quickest, most at a glance way to figure that out, right? Does anyone want to confirm, deny me on this? So, like, for example, the way it would look, and again, I can't do this because I'd have to rewrite the script on the fly, which I don't know how to do, would be Cadence of Hyrule, $, $193, 8 hours, parentheses, 14 parentheses. No, Nero says, no, God, no. We tried that. Ooh, no. Probably if I had any idea how that sorting algorithm works, Javin, which I don't. I was thinking about adding estimate, but I don't. I want as little text there as possible. I don't want noise in the line. So I don't think the word estimate is necessary. Anybody knows that's an estimate, right? Anybody can tell at a glance that that's an estimate. I don't think it's necessary to add that information because everybody already knows that. And even if they don't, it doesn't matter because it doesn't change anything, right? There's no additional information added by adding the word estimate. Excuse me. Actually, you know what I could do? Hang on, I have an idea. So let's do... It's gonna look super stupid, but whatever, let's just try it and see how this looks. Okay, so let's do... Legend of Legaia. Let's do Legaia. Yeah, we'll do... We're going to completely manually throw together a idea what this is going to look like. So let's get rid of this. Hope that actually works. Might not. We'll find out in a moment. I might just be breaking things. And then we've got that, and then we got the funders. Let's see what this looks like. Yeah, that looks wonderful, but it looks like it works. So, okay, refresh the page really quick. I threw together a bad mock-up above the priority list, and now Hazardous is leaving. The main person I'm doing this for. See you around, Hazardous. Everyone else, do me a favor and reload the page really quick and tell me what you think of that format, because that's roughly what that would look like for the two games, Cadence of Hyrule and Legend of Legaia. Obviously it's cutting off a little bit on the edge, and it's not formatted properly, and it has no sorting, and it's not actually accurate, but like I said, that's a manual mock-up of what it would look like. I'll look into collapsible. I can't even start with that right now. No. Imperial Star Destroyer. I mean, Squarespace only kind of sucks as a website, so, you know, I could probably throw something together for that, but... Here, I can just demonstrate. I can pull it up on screen for those of you not looking. Boom, there you go. So this is what I'm talking about with the mock-up there. This thing right there, that's the mock-up. Ignore the rest of that. None of the rest of that matters. There we go. There's the terrible mock-up. Make it nice and easy. Eventually, obviously, this would be sortable, and I would add and by I mean third, would add a sort feature by hours, so you could sort by how long the game is. I wish... Hey, Lamo? Alex? What's up? Opinion on Neon Genesis Evangelion. Not my thing. I've only seen about half of it, all told. I'm not really into it. I'm not really an anime fan in general, so my opinion doesn't really count on the matter. Like asking me about my favorite coffee, it's like, thank you very much, Narset. Yes, the shadowing is on purpose. Apparently I have to explain this, so... If you glance over here at the legend, I'm going to just draw everyone's attention to this, you'll notice that things that are highlighted and have my symbol next to them show that that's a run I'm interested in. So at a glance, you could see I am interested in Cadence of Hyrule, whereas I am not interested in Legend of Legaia. Now that's not changing. I have received dozens of people, actual dozens of people who have reached out to me asking for which games I am interested in. So that's staying. That's probably the single most requested feature of the list. And being able to just automatically see at a glance is pretty useful. As you can see, if you scroll down here a little bit, you can see, like, you know, there's ones I'm interested in and there's ones I'm not. So that's staying. Unfortunately, that does mean that we can't bold the text. Zalok! Hey! Just the man I was hoping to talk. One of the people I was talking about. Yeah, the problem is that's actually a feature of the output. And honestly, I've debated getting rid of the number at the end because the color indicates how many people have put money towards a run. It wouldn't be hard to remove the script or change the script so that it doesn't show the parentheses at the end, because a lot of people don't know what that means, which is fine. Now, who the heck just dumped money on my face? Hang on, I gotta go to the browser so I can check, because I don't want to pull that up on camera. The problem is they're one and the same. The badge is... it only knows to put the badge there because it's highlighted eclectic. And there needs to be a flag. So to understand this programming-wise, there needs to be a flag to indicate this is something I'm interested in. So that in order for the sort mechanism on the website to understand that that's a run I'm interested in, it has to have a flag, and that flag is the highlight. We don't really have another flag to use, right? So first of all, thank you, Twilight Dragon. Very, 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 very much. Very, 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 very much appreciate. Thank you so much for your support. I'll put that towards God of War, the trilogy. And hopefully that'll be a fun run when we get there. Twilight Dragon with an O, or with a 0 rather. And you don't have to lurk. We like to talk, we like to chat. I like to chat. I mean, they don't like to chat. They hate my guts, but I don't blame them. But if you want to keep lurking, that's okay. We here at the Lore Walkers are totally cool with that. Okay, so as I was bowing, I was arguing with myself, and I think it would be possible. This would require another redo of the priority sorting thing. Yes, it's actually already working. Check it out. I put it in just now. Check it out. See? Streaminations are here and sorted. Thank you, Zalok, for that very much. But no, Zach Taft. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 is right here. 16 people, $188, 410 days more. Boop. So as I was bowing, I was arguing with myself. I think it might be possible, I don't actually know, to add another flag separate from the highlight flag and have that be what the website calls to put the image up. The downside is what that would mean is, like, every game... Let me try to do a really, really rough example. So every... Oh my god, Larry. So every game would look like... This is a bad example. Actually, I know. Every game would look like this. So this is what the list would look like. And then some of the games would have that symbol on the side, and that would be the games I'm interested in. But I'm not even 100% sure that's possible, but if it is, we could do that, just for legibility, to make it more obvious. It'll get rid of some of the visual distinction of games I'm interested in, but it will still leave... What are you doing?! It will leave the symbol. The symbol will become the visual distinction. Like that'd be relatively easy. So I guess the question is the symbol and nothing else an acceptable visual indicator of runs I'm interested in? Because remember, that's the like that's one of the super requested things. That has to stay. So many people want to know which runs I'm interested in. So there needs to be a quick, at-a-glance visual indicator of that for people who are just looking at the list. Because obviously, you can click Lore's picks. I like this idea of keeping this separate. So this is just all the games I'm interested in right here, if you're just interested in that. Okay, so... See, I don't actually agree with that, Javin, but my eyes are weird and dumb and stupid and terrible. I damn it, Valerian. I do think it looks much like just this is the most obvious way to look at that. Legend of Legaia. It's white on faded yellow. You know? I mean, it's not that bad if you get down to like a green or a blue. Like you can see with Bard's Tale there or Franbo. But it's so much easier to see with the highlights. So, I need to make a freaking list at this point. So I need to ask about the highlights. And I need to make a separate tag. Which means I might also have to run this tag by Zalok, but that'll have to be after we've done the website side of things. Tag for icon. Oh, and then, yep, sort. So, hours, that'll be Zalok. And then sort by hours, and that'll be third. Jesus Christ. Now I should probably look at these gigantic donations that were just dropped on my face. What's that viewable on, Larian? I guess I'm checking right now, but I'm asking you if you get there before I do. Never mind, I found it. Okay, so... Sure. Is that show done? Because it looks like the answer to that question is no. I'm only seeing up to season 5. The Expanse, sorry. Like, they're talking about renewing season 6, but I don't actually see a season 6. Last... Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to add that to the website yet. Until the 6th season is out and we know exactly how long it is, because I charge by the hour, and that's how I determine how much priority a show takes, right? So I don't know how long season 6 is, and I assume you want season 6 to be in. I assume you don't want... you know, season 1 through 5, right? If you want season 3 through 5, that's easy. I can just do that right now. As I wait for her response. While I wait for that response, I should see what Valerian is all about here. Yeah, but how long is it, Larian? How many hours? How many minutes, actually, more accurately, is it? You seem to be missing my question. It's just today in a nutshell, isn't it? I'm just going to do what I already said to do. Thank you, Larian, very, very much. Always appreciate that support. Thank you very much. When we know how long season 6 is, I will add that to the list. But I've got the note right here. And I don't forget those things, so... It's okay. I am pretty organized, I swear. I have to keep track of a lot of stuff in my life. Speaking of which, I just got another large donation. I think your game list should be organized on a chart, where each game represents a different state of the Holy Roman Empire. And then they go to war. Thank you, Valerian, very much. always and ever, sir. Yeah, it'll be a lot of states, but, I mean, have you seen the Holy Roman Empire? And that is, of course, going towards Endwalker, which I have notes somewhere about. There we go, there we go. Here it is. I have lots of notes. The problem, Mr. Red, is I would have to completely reorganize the spreadsheet, the script, and the website in order to make that happen, Mr. Red, so I don't think I'm gonna bother, if that's okay. Stream readers. That would be fun, Larian. I don't know how I'd do it, but it'd be fun. You see why I wanted to wait for this until we after the news, because this is a whole discussion that I wanted to have with you all. Winner gets to play next. Okay. So we could do the highlight regardless. Just have everything highlighted. That would be something I need Zalok to change. And then I would need third to change. No, I'd need Zalok to... So what I would need, Zalok, is I would need every text line would have to include the highlight equals true. And then we would need a totally new variable for the symbol, right? Like we could just literally call the variable lore. And lore equals true would then be something the website could grab and check for the symbol. How easy / difficult / frustrating would that be to implement, Mr. Zalog? And thank you for watching my show, Maverick. I'll put that towards Endwalker. Give me a moment. Here we go, Maverick. Now that you've finally donated towards Endwalker. So I need that answer from Zalog, and then I need to talk to Third extensively about this whenever he has time, which he usually doesn't. About adjusting that, and we're going to have to adjust the sorting scripts too, to accommodate hours as a variable. Oh yeah, Zalok, I'm also going to need to track that too, the hours instead of the days. So that's the next question. Next question is how easy / difficult would it be? So instead of tracking the days row, which is row 9, tracking the hours row, which is row 4. So switch from row 9 to row 4, and then instead of saying days on list, just have it be hours. Actually, hang on. I might be able to make that even easier. Because we could leave it, hear me out, we could leave it as time in list is the variable, and then I could just change on the website side, because the website's when interpreting the variable of time in list into what it puts on the thing. So I would need, so basically what I would need from you, Zalok, at that point is just to change it from tracking row 9 to tracking row 4. Throw it on the floor and sort it into piles. I used to run the house. That's where this came from. I was actually asked a question like this recently. My mom worked more than full-time, lots of overtime, so paying the bills, keeping the house clean, doing the cooking, just all of that general living organization stuff, that was my job. So I've been kind of an organized person since I was literally in the single-digit range. Okay, so that means you're going to change that. That'll be easy to do, so I need to... same variable. And then, okay, so that's going to be changing the hours variable, so that's done. That'll be easy, and then we're going to have you change the highlight thing, which will be easy, as you say. And then I talked to Third about the icon, and then I talked to Third about changing the formatting on that, and that's actually it. I think that's it. So that'll make it so that you can sort by hours, how long a game is. It'll show the hours, and it'll show the color, and everything will be highlighted, so it'll be easier to read the font, and only the things I'm interested in will have the icon. Okay, I think that's everything. That way, it'll be nice and obvious. And hopefully easier to read, which is always the goal. You may or may not know this, you may or may not have noticed that when it comes to video games, when I'm reviewing video games, one of the biggest things I tend to be rather harsh on is the interface, because the whole goal is to make it as intuitive and easy to understand as possible, and an enormous amount of work goes into good interfaces. And even all this work I'm doing here is not making a good interface, it's making an acceptable interface, because there's always going to be issues and there's always going to be problems. Like Kay, for example. Kay's going to show up and be like, Laura, I hate your face, that's why I haven't shown up to your streams lately. You suck. I want to stab you. And I'm like, yeah, it's true. I do want to. I deserve the stabbing. I accept this, Kay. And that's just how life is now, is I'm getting stabbed by Kay. Advanced Wars will be the remaster. Wars. So I thought it was evident, obviously not, but the fact that it says Advanced Wars 1+2, that is the name of the remaster, is Advanced Wars 1+2. So I can change, I can add remaster. Since I've already gotten a question, that's all I need to see that it's not clear, so we'll just add remaster to the name there. Done. Hey, Sonic Doctor, welcome to the actual live stream. I don't think there's a good solution for the parentheses thing, and honestly, I don't think it needs to be solved, to be completely blunt. I think the colors are more than a sufficient indicator of interest. I think that's valid. Speaking of which, I do actually have some show news to do other than that. So check it out, because we haven't been able to do this in a while. I've got games to add. So we've got, what do we got? We got Banjo-Tooie, which we get to add to the list. We've got Quest 64, which we get to add to the list. And then we've got Diddy Kong Racing, which we get to add to the list. So let's go ahead. So we've got the N64 slot. Whoops. Bumped in the way. No, I don't tuck in my shirt, because nobody tucks in your shirts. It's terrible. Don't do it. Tucked in shirts are actually the devil. There we go. Okay. So we've got Banjo-Tooie. So put it right next to Banjo-Kazooie. That's a good idea. Then we'll put Quest. Then we'll put Diddy Kong. And I think we only have like 3 more N64 games to add, but that means I'm going to have to make a new space for my GameCube games. I'm not sure where to put those. I guess I can put them down here, because we're not reviewing a lot of GameCube games. So we can put the N64 there. Boom. GameCube down there. No, please stop falling over. Thank you for falling over. I do appreciate your assistance in this matter. Not for the Game Boy games, too. Of course, okay. Woo. The set grows. Yeah, no, this is a nice long trench coat. It's awesome. I love it. You know what I could do? So, okay, real talk. I'm not going to do this. While my, Lord Dad's wife was here, she was like, well, why do you need the actual games? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, you've already got the case. So just pull out the game and sell the game, and then just have the case up there. I wonder how much Quest 64 goes for. I'm not doing that. I'm not selling my games again. I've made that mistake twice in my life. Never doing that again. Yeah, she does not know my audience, or me, or anything. Okay. How much does it cost? I'm actually curious now. Since that is my original copy that I owned from back in the day. So I didn't have to buy that one. Quest 64. What do we got? What do we got? N64 game. $60 used. Just the game. Wow. Yeah, I once sold all my video games that I had on me in order to buy food when I was homeless. And that's the second time I made that mistake. Yeah, whatever. Anyways, I think that's actually it for show news. Let me double check on mute. We talked about all that stuff. We talked about the theater. We talked about reorganizing the list. I have to get a list to Zaloke, which is easy. We will not be streaming the 5th or the 14th for obvious reasons. How much does a busted memory card go for? Nothing! let's talk to music. So for those of you who don't care about Final Fantasy IV's music, this would be a good time to leave. Because that's all we do. That's all we got for the end of the run here. So as per last time, we're going to go down the list pseudo-sequentially. And what's the 11th? It's October 11th. That's a Monday. We will not be streaming October 11th. Because it's a Monday. So, we'll see, Sonic Doctor. We'll see. It's a Monday, Valvatrix. What do you want from me? I don't stream on Mondays. All right, so, for those of you who weren't here last week, the format here is we're going to have you listen to the original song in FF4, like the actual original version on the SNES. Then we're going to go ahead and, God, I can't imagine they wouldn't be Ventures, but Squirrels for Brain does whatever they want to. Then we'll listen to the DS Remaster version and see what that music listens like. And then we'll listen to the actual new music, and that will be, you know, we'll give a live reaction. And I will do my best to analyze it on the fly while simultaneously talking over it to try and ensure that this doesn't get copywronged into oblivion. So far we've managed. But, hang on, let me pull this up here. I will, thank you. But I need to pull up the folder, which is missing for some reason. There it is. Yeah, that's the format. Mondays are devoted towards a combination of my family and the Trek rewrite. So that's the time I have to spend on them and the time to spend, you know, on getting rewrite stuff done. I have a long meeting tonight with Lore Reloaded about the format of the rewrite too, because I've already finished 3 episodes of the Trek rewrite and I'm really happy with them, but I think I did a little bit too much work on them, for lack of a better way to put that. And it's just taking too much time, and I don't have that kind of time, so I think I need to pull back on the quality of the animation. Oh yeah, I actually forgot to do this last week because I'm an idiot. So Lore Dad, I'm not sure yet, Mike Romano. Lore Dad got me some goldfish. Okay, now you're probably thinking, why is this news, Lore? Why are you mentioning this? Well, first of all, I told him I'd chew it on camera. So I haven't eaten these because I told him I'd try it off on camera, because these are carrot flavored goldfish, which I didn't even know was a thing. So I keep forgetting to do this on camera because I've had these sitting on my desk for 2 weeks now. Well, and then, oh, come on, are you kidding me? Oh my god. And of course I don't have a knife handy. Okay, hang on. Goldfish is a salted cracker. What's a mukbang streamer? There we go. By the way, fun fact: these things, these are for filing your nails and stuff. Did you know that the actual official term for these are swords? I found that out when I was trying to buy some, and I couldn't find the term for it. They're called swords. All right, here we go. So, why would you do that? Okay, so goldfish. Well, they look like regular goldfish. Hang on. They taste like carrot. They don't taste like carrots at all. They just taste like goldfish. They're just goldfish. That's all they are. Apparently, supposedly, these are made with, and I quote, carrot powder, ground up carrots. And apparently you do get a serving of carrots from eating these, 1/3, excuse me, of serving of carrots for eating these. But they just taste like goldfish. They're just goldfish. I am actually a little disappointed by that. I was hoping. Oh, whatever. I mean, I still like goldfish. That is one of my favorite snacks, but it's just, Okay, that could be worse. That could be worse. Whatever. Yeah, it's carrot powder, so the only flavor is the goldfish. Whatever. Where do we leave off? Boss. We had just done the boss song, was where we left off last time. As a fresh reminder, that's this song. And we got to make sure the audio is correct, too. Because it's not, it's a little loud. Hang on. Come on. There we go. Okay, so. No, I do not, Dream Whisperer. Is this good audio? I need to know. But this is where we had it set last time. Okay. I want you to know, I have been so wanting to listen to the rest of this soundtrack all week. They've got there's the Final Dungeon song, there's the Moon song, there's the frickin' Four Fiends. I have had to hold back on listening to this music for a week. There. Turned it up another 5%. Okay, so now hang on, let's clean up our interface a little bit here, so we can do nice, easy formats here. Get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that. Get rid of all this stuff. So it's all we got is the soundtracks. Okay, so where are we at? So we just did Boss. Looks like our next general song is the Doom, the Suspicion song, which is the Bomb. So that's this song. So, original version. Again, as I've said many times, this is the kind of song that tends to come to my mind when I think of Doom music. You know, something bad or villainous happening. There's a whole playlist of that kind of songs. Very simple, though. Extremely simple, but it usually only plays for short scenes, so that's okay. Really? Yeah, it's like a 45-second loop. Which is right there. So that's, good usage of the strings, as per usual. The FF4 sound font is pretty good with the strings, as it always is. The DS version sounds like... Now, I don't like this version, as I usually don't with the DS version songs. The strings don't really complement the gravity of it, and so instead they just kind of sound weak. And you can hear the bass guitar a little bit too much. Yeah, there's no gloom, there's no doom to this particular variant. It just sounds like something's happening. So, and again, 45-second loop. So let's hear the new version. Okay, so the tempo's better. They've really expanded on the bass here. I'm going to turn this up a little bit. If I can. It's not letting me. Why are you not letting me turn up the volume? What's the issue here? They've really added to the bass. It's actually, it literally has more notes, so it's for serving more as a harmony here. So we have a second verse, second version. Bass is a little too busy at this point, I think. Using woodwinds to add creepy factor is a pretty common trick. Yeah, there's an unease to this one. And I like it and don't like it at the same time. I feel like that's an interesting gamut. They definitely do something with it, which I do like. I like that they didn't just repeat the song. I do like the creepy section, which is the final section towards the end of the second loop there. So that's at least positive. So now we meet Rydia. I love this song, by the way. This is what Realm's song should have sounded like, I'm just saying. Notice how simple it is. There's a harp, there's a piano, there's a flute, or some kind of woodwind. And yeah, this song just screams innocence. Maybe it's because I have so much associated with it, but I can just see young Rydia here, right? The child who just lost her parents has no idea what's going on. No understanding of the politics or the hatred or the Zemus's plan or anything. She's just a kid, in a good way. You know, I distinguish the difference between childlike and childish, and this is definitely childlike. So, DS version adds an intro, just like they did with Rose's theme. Rydia's outfit looks terrible in the DS version. So as before, I don't like the DS Woodwind sound font. It just kind of screeches on my ears a little bit. Which is a shame, because it's being used to good effect. You notice there's a violin or something underneath it, too. As usual, the harps are the star of the DS sound font. Yeah, it's the exact same problem with the town theme. I do like the slightly decreased tempo. I do like the strings. I do like the harp. I think they do good stuff with it other than that stupid flute. There's also a second stanza in this one, where they got rid of the flute and they just go with whatever that string instrument is. So, other than the screeching, whatever that was, screeching woodwind, I do think this is a decent take on the song. And they actually do something with it, which is very rare for the DS version. So, new version. I forget the name of this. It's a very breathy flute. Like, you can hear the wind in the woodwind. Is it an ocarina? I have no idea. I can't identify instruments, only categories. This really changes the tone of it, but it kind of works. This does sound like something Rydia herself is playing. that it? I don't hear any differences. Yeah, I don't hear any difference. So that's it. That's weird. I mean, that's a decent take on it, but they barely changed anything. They just polished it up. I do think the harps are a good thing, but yeah, I think the innocence of that is lost. Instead, it sounds more. It sounds more like something an individual would play out in the woods or something like that, right? Like it sounds like, I don't know what word to use here. Less civilization, more nature is what that feels like. I don't know how else to describe that. Having saved Rydia, we go through the overworld, and then we go through the town, and then we go through the dungeon, and then we fight the boss, and then we go to Damsion, aka Doomtown. So, this actually plays for a couple areas, and it's pretty much always the same thing. Sad town. Now, again, you'll notice how the original immediately gets across the emotion it needs to. You can tell something bad is happening here, thanks to the minor usage of the flute. Same thing they did with Rydia, by the way. Very short loop, of course. But they also add that little... what they're doing with the percussion in the background, with the... whatever it's called, it's like a brush and you slap it against something. And that just kind of adds to the beat of it. It adds this kind of funeral march feel to it. So in the DS version, so it's a little more slowed down, immediately loses the percussion. Flute is, as usual, the woodwind doesn't work in the DS version. I actually rather like the voice acting in the DS version, but I'm a weirdo. It's not great, it's just good. I also think they emphasize the strings a little bit too much. So they kind of overpower the rest of the song, which just kind of diminishes the vibe of it. So it's still obviously a sad song. It still has the minor keys. It's just, yeah, it doesn't quite have the same tone or vibe. So in the Pixel Remaster, we've added some kind of tuba or something in the background. Okay, the choir's a nice touch. Okay, I like this. You notice the choir serves as a bridge between the two sections. And now that little Harry Potter flute. Yeah, it sounds like it's on an upswing in tone. It's like somber, but hopeful, and then the choir picks in, and then it dives down to morose until the second strings picks up at the end of the second stanza, or second section. And then it goes back up to hopeful, and then it goes back down. This is good. I like this. They've done some good stuff with this. And yeah, this song plays in, what, 2 areas in the game? 3, actually, I think. I know it plays at Eblin, which is optional, and I know it plays at Damsion. It's okay, I have no Intelligence Metal fan. I had a beholder attached to my skull earlier. Like, that bridge is brilliant. Notice they bother to have... Here, hang on. Let me rewind. You need to hear this. So rather than cutting off the instruments hard, they let them linger. So it feels like the existing song fades into the choir. You hear that fade? It almost melts into just the choir. And then, yeah, then we have the harp in the background, and then we have the flute built in, and then the strings are going to come back in a second. And then the percussion. That's good. Wow, that's really good. Holy crap. So, okay, we've gone to Damsian, we've helped Edward, we get the sand thing. We go back, we don't actually have to, but we go back to Kaipo, and it's like, oh my god, Rose is sick, and she needs this fever ruby. So we go to the dungeon, we fight a boss, then we come back to Kaipo, and then 2 songs play pretty much back to back. One is the Loss song. This is poetry. It's so simple. This is the Song of Sorrow for this game. Most FF games have a sorrow song. It's so simple. It's just a piano. And then another piano. That's it. It's 2 pianos. Nothing else. And notice how the second piano, the one playing the under harmony, is just beautifully counterbalancing the much slower but much more impacting melody going on top of it. Because the under thing is providing a constant stream, and the upper one is just doing periodic. This is a brilliant song. It's not his best song, but it's probably one of the more mathematically well-constructed songs in FF4. So, DS version. I do think they did some decent work with this. It's not as brilliant as the original. They add more instruments. And they change it to that mystical choir, or whatever that electronic instrument is. But yeah, the echo works well for this, and I do think this helps. Yeah, by the way, I'm sorry, I didn't notice this until I was analyzing this music, which, granted, was like 25 years ago. But this is actually the overworld theme. Like, that's the melody it's playing. Da, na, 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 na. Da, na. That's the overworld theme. I love how he uses it there. But by tearing away everything else and just having that undercurrent, it turns it into a sorrowful song. God, that's just great. So so 2 good versions for the sorrow song. So we're keeping to the 2-instrument method. We've got some kind of chime on the upper. I can't tell what that is in the lower. It sounds like a reverberated grand piano. Did you hear that? They actually morphed the piano into a bell. Right there. That's pretty good. I like that. It definitely maintains that very calm, quiet sorrow of the original. And there's it's really infrequent, but currently, occasionally, a 3rd instrument comes up in the background just to add a little bit of an echo here and there. Not the chime. Like there, right there. There's just a tlung to add to it. Ooh, that's good. Okay, so everything's lost and everything's dead, and Edward goes out back and he says, I'm sad. I'm gonna have a solo scene where I have to fight a thing by myself and learn to move on from her death. This actually plays twice in the game. And Edward's just playing his harp. And that's actually it. It's just a simple 20-second harp loop on the DS version. Now, we've seen the harp is pretty decent in the DS version. So I think this one translates reasonably well. Although you notice it's not quite a harp, it's actually more like an acoustic guitar. And that's basically it. It might be a lute. I mean, he's a bard, right? But yeah, I could say this is probably one of the extremely rare examples of the DS version song actually being better than the original. And so, yep, so he's playing the harp. Let's see if they do anything with it in the Pixel version. Very different instrument. So they're actually bothering... Oh, there's a term for that. There's a technique in digital music of deliberately recording the other little sounds that a guitar maker, a guitarist will make while playing the guitar. Like you can hear his fingers moving up and down the strings. And they're doing that here. They might have literally just got someone in front of a mic and had them play it, because that's the easiest way to emulate that. It does sound like this is just Edward playing it, which is the whole intent. So I do actually think they did a decent job with that. That is it, and it just loops at that point. So Edward has had his moment. It's like, okay, we've gathered ourselves, we've saved Rosa. We go to Mount, I don't remember what it's actually called. We go to the first mountain. And at the first mountain, there's this giant chunk of ice in her way, and Rydia has to overcome all of her hardship and terribleness in this one frickin' scene. This could have been like a whole character arc, but whatever. So Rydia casts fire, and now we're on the mountain, one of the classic mountain songs. Love this, by the way. Classic mountain song. Just like classic castle is also in this. Notice how the game goes out of its way to emphasize... I'm trying to think how to say this. It has a percussion. There's a drum beat in the background. But what it really has is the piano beat. The piano is functioning as percussion. I have a fountain playlist. Of course I do. And then, of course, the melody is carried by the strings in the front. I love how he uses the piano as the percussion, though. And then a loop. So, the DS versions immediately lose the piano. And then we have... I don't know what that is, instead of the strings. Yeah, it's some kind of synth song, synth wave. Notice they also changed, so in addition to changing the piano to some kind of guitar beat, they also changed the actual percussion into a xylophone. So I don't care for that version personally, but you can see the difference. A very different feel and vibe. So keeping the piano. Same general vibe as the original. The marching drum in the background. Adding an extra layer to the strings. Yeah, this straight up sounds like a march. Adding woodwind to emphasize harmony underneath the melody of the strings. I like that. I like that. And the woodwind doesn't overpower anything, it's just an accompaniment. That's good. That's good. I like that. It's like 3 I've really liked so far. Red Wings, Dempsey, and this one. And, I mean, I guess there's more than that, but that's good stuff. I love that extra layer to the melody. It's not even a full harmony. It's just another layer to the melody. They chord it out. They also added, I'm trying to identify what it is, they added some kind of string instrument, a single one, like a violin or a cello in the background. And it's accompanying the strings, but it's always in the background too. It's just another nice little layer to that. Okay, so we go through Mount Hobbs, and we find Yang. We fight the battle, it's a big boss battle. Okay. Now we've got to get to Yang's home, which is, of course, Fabul. I don't know what to call this. The Oriental song. Yeah, this is something FFs do pretty often, is they have this kind of obviously foreign area, and it usually has a song of this, like, you know, FF7 had one as well, for example. It doesn't feel Oriental. I don't know what other word to affix to this. But you'll notice it is very military. Very heavy focus on big, boisterous percussion, very sweeping strings, and there's just that little woodwind in the background to emphasize the main melody. So yeah, there's definitely this kind of vibe to that. Let's hit the right button and hear what the DS version sounds like. So they pulled down on the percussion and the strings. I feel like that's actually a decent use of the flute for once in the DS version. Like, you notice how it blends between its notes? No hard distinctions, but all just blending. So they pull back on the impact of the song, but I think the tone is pretty good for this one. Yeah, they also changed the transition, which is interesting. So, Pixel Remaster. Really dialing up the monastery vibe there. Actually adding a gong. So this is just a Pandaren song at this point. Yeah, that emphasis on the chimes, the bells, and changing the type of woodwind very clearly shifts it. It's a lot less military and a lot more monastery, but I think that fits the tone. And again, I'm just immediately picturing Pandaria. In a good way. Like, even that part right there, I don't know what that instrument's called. But you could that's clearly far more of that kind of monastery in the mountains vibe. And no, I have not Glorious Barbarian, and I probably won't anytime soon because theaters. It looks like there's no second loop. So that's a good one. I like what they did with that. Okay, so then we have the attack by the Red Wings, and we rush up, and oh my god! Everything's going badly. We need to run as quickly as we can. Most soundtracks, especially back then, they also have a run song, like they have a sorrow song. Most run songs are really short loop. In fact, we've actually already looped on this one. Yeah, like we've already looped. It's like an 8-9 second loop. It's just, oh god. So that can work unless it's FF5. I love FF5, but the fact that they play the run music in FF5 for like an 8-minute stretch just sucks. Anyways, so in the DS version, so I feel all the impact is gone because they lean on their horns, which are just weaker in the DS version. But I do like what they do in the background on this. You can hear the piano a lot more, or the harpsichord, excuse me. And that's it. Again, it's the same, like, 10-second loop or whatever. So the new version... a lot more hectic. They've added a lot of instruments. There's a tuba in the background. There's a second stanza. There's another layer of percussion. There's a trombone. There's the psycho flute. And then there's other they're still adding stuff. And a nice little bridge. Wow, I like that. It's harder than it sounds to make something sound like a mess without it actually being a mess. They did a good job with this. Stuff just keeps entering and then leaving the song over and over. And it doesn't sit on any specific point, other than the main melody, which keeps changing instruments. It keeps shifting around. Yeah, they had a lot to work with because it was so short, I agree. And I'm saying that wrong. They had to do more with it because it's so short. That's really good. That's terrifying. God. So the scene I always picture most when I hear that song in FF4 is actually when Cid is about to do his great sacrifice and they're fleeing from the Falcon. And I can hear this music as you're in the Enterprise, desperately trying to get away from the Red Wing that's chasing you. That's good. Okay, so we've successfully fled through Fabul. Everything's screwed. We have lost song. Everything's going terribly. But then it's Kane. Oh, Kane, thank God you're here. Well, shoot. Spoilers. Oh, I know. And so young, too. I love that scene. It's actually one of my favorite scenes in the DS version. So, that's actually it. It's a very short loop, 25 seconds. That's all there is. But it does exactly what it needs to. It's very simple, very short, very to the point. It's just a simple... You know, I should be talking this out loud. Because you've just got... The primary strings is the melody, the secondary strings is the harmony, and then there's a simple harp doing a lower chord in the background, and that's it. 3 instruments. That's all it is. DS version. Now, I know I've said this before, but I don't like how they overemphasize the bass here. But with that complaint aside, I think they do some really good stuff with this. As usual, the harp sounds great in this, and the strings sound good here as well. If they could just eject that bass, this is brilliant and better than the original. As is, I'd say it's at least as good as. They added... I forget what it's called. There's a thing where you take a note and dive it up or down slightly into another note or into a sharp of its own note. So you start on a single note, you go ooh, or ooh. They do this several times with the strings in this version. And it works very well to the song's benefit. Which leads us to the Pixel Remaster. So, as per their usual, they're adding a lot of additional instruments under here. They've got a chime they've added, they've got a second layer of strings they've added. And then they removed everything. Which works quite well. Added a horns accompaniment. And I think that's a loop. It doesn't have the same vibe as the original or the DS version, both of which were much more somber. But this feels more melancholy. Rather than everything just being straight up bad, this feels more like a song when you are contemplating, bad, right? And the extra, whatever that is in the background, is adding to the uplifting. I can't identify that. It's almost like a cymbal that's really slowed down. I'm not sure what that is. And yeah, there's that kind of triumphant flourish there of the horns before it loops. Good stuff. But then enters the main villain of the game, who's actually not a villain. Anyways. What do I have to say about this? Organ. Just organ. Church organ. Big, bombastic, slow, methodical. This gets across everything you need to know about Golbez just by itself. Golbez. I can talk, I swear. By the way, if you're paying attention, you notice there's only 2 instruments right now, and both of them are the organ. And then we've got that little church organ-y kind of thing. Still just the 2 instruments. So, again, you notice FF4 does this a lot with the original. It's very simple songs that just use 1 or 2 instruments to good effect. So, DS version. So first thing you'll notice is they added a 3rd organ underneath it all as a harmony. By the way, unlike Radiant, Golbez looks awesome in the DS version. And yeah, very Castlevania-y. Unfortunately, this is kind of it. I don't have anything to add to it. It's pretty much a one-to-one change. They didn't really do anything with it. They just changed the instrument, and that's kind of it. And then it loops, which leads us to dramatic pause. Okay, so they automatically add a what's that called? The giant bell in the background, and a gong. It sounds like. And there's a horn accompaniment in the background. They're also softening the strings so they blend into each other more. Added an extra harmony of strings. And I think that's actually it. It looks like it's looping. So once again, we see it's a pretty straight take on it. But they've added to it. This is an iterative thing. They've added extra layers to it, and they've changed around some of the instruments. That's really good, in my opinion. better than the original pretty much across the board. That is an awesome take on Golbez's theme. Yeah, that's very Dracula. I don't know about you, I can just picture the giant armored guy, armored in black and gray, just standing there talking about how he's going to kill Chaos as that music is playing. That's really good. So we meet Golbez. He kicks our ass effortlessly, and then it's like, well, all is doom and gloom, and we're all doomed forever. But then we get a ship, and then Leviathan shows up, and we lose everyone. We end up on the shore, and then we end up in. Now, I'm going to go ahead and admit, I don't actually care for the song that much. The whole thing he was going for, I've seen an interview about this, was he wanted it to sound quirky. He figured mages would be weird, abnormal, unusual, right? And he wanted that to get across in the song. So you notice how we've got this weird and it's doing just this weird with the xylophone, and it's kind of upbeat. And it's just kind of weird. Like, I don't know, like, the main melody is initially carried by a xylophone. And then a horn, or not a horn, excuse me, a woodwind. And it just goes back and forth between these things. It's just kind of odd. Which leads us to the DS version. Now, call me a weirdo. This is one of the other examples where I think the DS version is actually superior to the original. It's mostly just small changes, just changing which instruments are being used where, essentially. But you notice that it goes, I keep calling it a xylophone, I'm not sure if that's the right word, but whatever that is, the thing you whap and go up and down the measuring thing is a little bit more understated. And instead of the hooting, we have the whoosh, like the machine constructing in the background. And they pulled the percussion down a bit too, as they often do in the DS version. Which leads us to this version, which is up here. I like that. I like that. Oh, I really like that. They added a chord. What is that? That sounds like a violin. They also pulled the percussion down. They made the hoot into something else. Could be a fiddle, yeah. They actually added another fiddle or violin or whatever underneath the previous two, so there's 3 going right now. Yeah, no, that's legit. They took a song I don't even care for, added more energy, added more atmosphere, makes it sound, yeah, cultural. It makes it sound like a different culture. The usage of the fiddle instead of the woodwind works great. Yeah, the folky nature of whatever that, it's not, I can picture it in my head. It's like a bell, and there's bells hanging down in a line. You ding them in order in the background. That's really adds to the main melody. That's good. Holy crap. Okay, that's I'll give you that one. Holy crap. So we do that. We talk to Parliament Porum. We've already actually played that song, so we'll just move on. We go to Mount Ordeals, which we've already played, and we go to the top, and there's some stuff going on. And then it's like, you must become a paladin. It is our destiny. This actually reminds me of a Secret of Mana song. Once again, notice very simple. A grand total of 2 instruments. There's the strings, there's the woodwind, that's it. And the strings just maintains a beat, and then the woodwind comes in for the second section of it to maintain a melody, and that's it. There is kind of a vibe of, you know, we're going to go and do this great thing. You know, I have to go do this great thing. And destiny is the word that comes to mind when I think of that song. Now, you don't hear me say this often, but I think the DS version here is pretty much universally superior. The extra marching drums really add to that Destiny vibe in the background. Oh, I never updated it, did I? I mean, it's too late now, but whatever. So yeah, that extra percussion, good move. Strings always work in the DS version. And the woodwind is the woodwind, so. And that's it, of course. It's like a 37-second loop, so that's whatever. In the Pixel Remaster version... Wasn't expecting that. Lots of additional percussion. I mean, that's the vibe of the song, is you're being recited the prophecy and being told of your great destiny, so that makes sense. Flute's a little too piercing. I don't like that. Like, it's clear where they were going with it, but it feels a little bit too busy. It feels like it can't decide on the atmosphere or tone it's going for, and it keeps going for that kind of zitar in the background, which I think actually detracts from it. And the usage of the horns, the usage of the brass there, was not a bad idea, but it felt like they couldn't decide how they wanted to hear. Listen to this. So first it's just kind of this slow meandering horns, which doesn't really sound good. It sounds like someone who is falling asleep or drunk. But then... much more definitive usage of the horns there. So they're literally using using horns differently. There's just such a strange take on that. So I think that's up to a grand total of 2 Pixel Remaster songs I'm not a fan of. Okay, so we get our Destiny, we go to Mount Ordeals. We meet Mylon, or Scarmillion, if you prefer. Before we play this song, I'm going to go ahead and say something that I've kind of had prepped for this. This is one of my favorite songs of all time. This is on my Zero playlist. And in my opinion, this is one of, if not the best boss songs ever made. This is actually a big boss song, but still. One of the better battle musics ever. And I have literally used this I've done an essay on this song. I have also used this song as an example of how to do harmony and melody and how to counterbalance each other and all that fun stuff. And I love this song to death. We will, of course, play the original. But part of the thing I want to say here is that I have heard many remixes of this song. I myself have attempted remixes of this song. But while I have the arrogance to say that some of my remixes of music I think are better than the original, I've never been able to surpass this. And I've never heard a remix or remaster or take on this song that manages to be as good as the original. So, 4 Fiends. Builds immediately with the horns. Disaster sounds. Big, giant timpani drums. Strings as the choir screaming in the background. Switches around. The strings and the horns just beautifully swap roles throughout the course of the song. I'll turn this up a little bit. little bit of a bridge. Horns and strings are in united. Horns up. Strings, horns are joined by a second horn. You can feel each of those impacts. I love it. Decently long loop, too. Minute and 32 loop. Love that song. Love that song. DS version, don't like it as much. I just gave that away, but we'll listen to it. So the timpani is much less. As usual, they pull the percussion down in the DS version. And I'm not sure what to make of those horns. The horns are a higher pitch, which makes them stand out a bit more, which makes them not blend with the strings as much. I think it's part of the problem. I know a lot of people actually like this version more than the original. I'd say a lot. I know several. I am not one of those, but, you know. It sounds like announcement horns. You know, the ones you'll do to announce something is showing up. Instead of, like, a traditional brass section. That kind of thing. And loop. This is the song I wanted to hear the most of the entire Pixel Remaster, so I'm a little nervous. So they added a guitar immediately. Much more muted. A lot more percussion going on. And the guitar is a background thing going on. Changed around the string section, too. Distorted guitar there. I don't know. It's definitely different. The tone is completely different. This doesn't feel like a big boss fight anymore. I think I prefer the original. Yeah, this sounds like a concert. This sounds like one of the Black Mages remixes, which is fine, but it sounds like a Black Mages remix, you know? Yeah, this sounds kind of like a Zelda boss, almost. That's maybe the wrong word, but, you know, adventure-y is a good way to put that. They did some good stuff with it. The guitar in the background did add to it a bit. They definitely deliberately pulled back on the impact and muted it. The tempo is way... I'm saying that wrong. The pacing of the song is completely lower. Instead of a sprint, this feels like a dance, which I think Leander said in chat several times. Yeah, they also add that delay, which I do think works. I'll give you Dancing Mad, Blue Alex. That's a damn good remix. Yeah, no, I don't think that's better than the original. I don't. It's good. It's different. Whereas the original just has that whoa to it that lacks. That is a damn shame. All right, that's okay. That's okay. It's still good. It's just that's not what I wanted. Okay, so we've beaten Mylon. We've beaten Mylon. It's like, okay. So now we have to go and become a paladin. I think there actually is a fanfare for that. I don't think I have the original of the fanfare. Double checking. Pretty sure I don't, though. Yeah, I don't. Okay, so there's a fanfare. I believe I have the DS version of the fanfare. Right here. Yep. I have not, Torchinator. So we become a paladin. We got the thing. I only mentioned this because there is a pixel remaster of this, which is... I just lost. I was just staring at it. There it is. Big brass. Good usage of brass, though. That's good. I do like that. I'll give him that. And that's it. But, you know, it's okay. We become a paladin. All right, so we go back. We take the Serpent's Road, and we end up in Baron, and then we fight Yong, and then we go into Baron Castle, and then we fight the dude, and blah, 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 blah. And Palama Paramba dead, no, but it's okay. And then we get the airship. We start fast-forwarding a bit, because we're getting a lot of repeats on. So we get the airship, which is... Try to back down a little bit. I don't have much to say about this, honestly. It certainly sounds like an airship song. Yes, I did, Babajux. I think the biggest thing I don't like about this song is... There's the loop at 23 seconds. Very short loop, even for FF4. And yeah, it just sounds like it's an airship song. It's not even a great airship song, so it's just kind of whatever. Over here in the DS version. Give me a moment. For once they emphasized the percussion. Otherwise, it mostly sounds like the original. And that is it. That's the airship song. So, new version. Okay, going rock was probably a good move there. Way more emphasis on the beats there. Yeah, it's a little bit slower, and they're emphasizing the beats with both the bass and the percussion. There is also a second stanza, where we emphasize the strings here. That's good. They took that and turned it into an actual airship song. That's really good. I like that. Notice they keep the percussion doubled down from the DS version. Yes, airshops will be in FF. Okay, so that's good. That's good. So we fly around and then we get lost if you're young me and have no idea where to go next. How many people got lost at this point in the game? Real talk. But then eventually, you settle upon Troya. 13 looks like my Kumano. This is a song I always wanted to like and never quite did. I don't dislike it. It sounds like Elven Land, right? Which is what it's supposed to be. This is the land of beauty. You know, you've got the harps in the background. Everything's primary strings. There's a little bit of a bass in the background, and that's kind of it, right? I do admit, when I hear this song, I tend to think of flowing water, specifically. So, it's okay. As usual, the bass will be much stronger in the DS version. I'll tell you that right now, because you probably don't even hear the bass there, but you will hear. I do think they use the strings better, but they use that woodwind again, which I'm not sure I like. Either way, it does maintain the vibe, you know, the woodwindy, airy kind of place. Okay, I swear the bass was in this version. Maybe I'm misremembering. There's none there. Yeah, this I must be thinking the wrong song, because you can barely hear that. They did add the extra flute section. That makes this a grand total of 3 versions of the DS version where they actually added to the original music. I do think this is better than the original. And that's actually the loop point right there. So that's okay. You know, still not just, it's not my thing, right? It's just an average song. But then we have the Pixel Remaster. I have no idea what they're gonna do with this one. Leaning into that violin, or whatever that is. Cello, maybe? Background strings. Like I said, I know it's a string instrument. It's a singular string instrument. That's about all I got. Yeah, it's a lot less watery, but it's a lot more country, and I think it works for it. Keeps the flute section from the DS version. This reminds me of that one song in FF5, which is literally the country song. And those strings are very Dragon Quest. Yeah, Troya is actually the Earth Crystal location. Really like what they're doing with those background strings. That's good. That's great. Wow. That's awesome. That is a much better version of the song, in my opinion. Good lord. Okay, so we've successfully gone through Troya. We've agreed to the, I forget what they're called, the Epicots or something like that we're going to go and help. In order to do that, we have to catch a Chocobo. Have we listened to the Chocobo songs? I don't think we have. So we got Chocobo. True enough, Albatrix. This is... Yeah, it's the Chocobo thing. This is the traditional, the classic Chocobo theme. And that's all there is to that. Over in the DS version, I gotta actually scroll up a little bit here. I do like what they did with it here. The usage of that, whatever that is, as the main instrument works for Chocobos, I think. They also added a second section with the flute. That's up to, we're like 4 songs now the DS version actually adds to. For the Pixel Remaster, so we've already heard what the Pixel Remaster FFF2's Chocobo thing is, which turned it into the Chocobo theme instead of being Insanity. So the 4 version is silly. Very silly. With a saxophone even. Once again with that, whatever that is. Lots of usage of big, deep, silly brass, like a tuba or something. Or maybe a trombone. So that's okay. So they leaned into it, which honestly they probably should. If you're gonna go a route with it, you should probably lean fully into it. So yeah, that sounds like something that should play during the comedy section of the game. But then we use the Chocobo to get up, and there's this black Chocobo, and it's running around and like crazy, and it's really hard to catch because I'm an idiot when I'm a kid and don't know how to actually map that out. And God, it took me forever to catch a black Chocobo my first time, but I finally catch it. We finally catch it, and then we go to the next Chocobo song, which I don't remember the name of. There it is, Samba. This could also be during the strip show we get to watch, because it's the same song plays. Obviously, just pulling up the tempo and the pacing both. Usage of that, whatever that is, that kind of banjo-sounding guitar in the background. Okay, Javan and Leander, that made me laugh. Right next to each other there. And so that's the Flying Chocobo. Then there's the DS version. Now, as I've said before, I don't hate the DS version, but I do think it's inferior in most cases to the original. There's a couple of exceptions to that, and then there's one case where I think the DS version is so much worse, and that's this one. I have no idea what to make of this. All of the tempo and pace has been pulled down. They've completely changed the background loop. The percussion is practically gone and been replaced by something else. And we have a much lighter woodwind in the front. So, whatever that is. And then we have the Pixel Remaster. I have no idea what they're going to do with this one. So, this is Carnival, apparently. Lots of noise. I believe you, Javin. It's some kind of carnival-like festival. I don't know what else to call that. I believe you, Javin. I don't know what else to call it. Yeah, this is clearly party. They've decided to take this and turn this into party music. They do a good job with it. I'm not gonna lie. I can't say I like it. But they clearly they leaned very heavily into the aesthetic of party time. And considering that plays during the strip show, that makes sense. So now I think we skip a lot of game, because we go into the dungeon, and we have the thing, and there's the harp, then we beat the Dark Elf, and then we manage to get our way back out, and we go up, and we go to the Tower of Zot, is where we go next, which is here. So it's a take on Golbez's theme. I'm gonna go ahead and admit, I never really liked this song that much. Maybe it's just because I hate this dungeon. But it's also because this is a fairly long dungeon, and this is a fairly short loop, and there's just nothing to it. You got the drum beat for the march, primary strings, horn accompaniment, and then a bridge with the horns. As I discussed during at least 2 of our FF4 streams, this is probably when Final Fantasy really started leaning into the fake ending thing, which they just like to do for some reason. So that's it, 40-second loop. DS version, of course, if you give me a moment. It's in a weird order. Like, for some reason, the Tower of Zod is after the Tower of Babel in the soundtrack. DS version's a lot better, I think, for the most part. They lower the percussion as usual. The strings are much stronger, though. And they use the lower horns rather than the brassy horns. And then there's the brassy horns. Just after I say it. And then we loop. 40 seconds again as before. So, new version. Way more emphasis on the brass and drums. Really leaning into that funeral march vibe. And yeah, I hear the organ in the background there too. Get a little bit of a Dragon Quest horn. Like that. Just straight up pulling Golbez's theme into it. Good bridge too, just boom, 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 and then leading right back into it. Wow, that's good. That's good. Yeah, this feels like you've met a terrible fate, haven't you? God, that's good. That's good. I like that. I like that. I like that. Okay. So we go through the Tower of Zot. Tell it, I spoiler. And then we fight Golbez, and Kain is freed, and then we fight 4 fiends, and then we escape, and we warp back, and Kain has a key on him. We go talk to Sid, we get the airship, we go there, we put the key in the thing, and then we go down to the Underworld. Now, someone earlier mentioned that Troya is on their sleep playlist. The Underworld is on my sleep playlist. This is a very soothing song for me. And I've always loved this. Here it is, Domain of the Dwarves. Notice it's the overworld tune again. far more echoiness and strings, I think this is the one that's going to have the bass. Notice how it bothers to have both a deep string as a slow, kind of soothing, almost a harmony underneath it, while the primary string is carrying the melody at much higher note, higher octave. And of course, the primary melody is being carried by the flute. Oh no, it totally sounds cold. I agree with that. It's always funny because I remember the first time going to the Underworld was listed to me, and I thought, oh god, it's going to be this deep, terrifying, horrible place. And then I hear that song, and I'm like, this is soothing. Confusion? So Domain of the Dwarves, which should be right here. Nope, I'm right. This is the song I meant earlier. This is the one that really re-emphasizes the bass. So they pull up the percussion for once, re-emphasize the bass, and re-emphasize the woodwind. And the strings are kind of pulled down a little bit. Real talk, Javan, this sounds like club music to me. Not like, you know, you go into a chill club, right? You just go to there to vibe for a bit, have a drink, chat with your friends. That's the kind of fun vibe I get from this. In fact, actually, hang on a second. I'm going to interrupt myself. So then it loops. Give me a sec. I need to find a song. I'm going to find it as quickly as I can. What's the name of that song? Here we go. This. This is the kind of vibe I get from that version. This is literally a club song. It's in Earth and Beyond. It's a trade station. Yeah, lounge. There we go. That's a good word. That's a much better word than club. It's just like a lounge you just kind of go to. Chill out at, you know. Anyway, sorry. Let's get back to the Pixel Remaster version of that, which would be this one. I like what they do with that harp. Horns to take over the melody instead of the primary flute. Yeah, it feels like the Overworld theme. Like the tone and vibe are definitely the Overworld theme instead of the Underworld. I like it. I think it's different. So I can't say I like it better. I just think I like it for a totally different reason. Yeah, this feels like the adventure is continuing. Notice the bass is pulled way down so you can barely hear it. But they emphasize the percussion more, and they added just a little bit of a guitar in the background to add to the melody. Like an acoustic guitar. Really, FN Craig? That's hilarious. Oh. Okay. Yeah, no, the message, the theme, the tone are just gone. Then we go talk to the dwarves. We've actually already listened to that one. Then we talk to the Calbrina. Now, this actually plays for a couple things other than the Calbrina, but I'll admit, and I know I've said this on camera before, this song actually freaked me out when I was much younger and playing this game for the first time. The demented clown, possessed circus vibe. Great usage of the flute, which, by the way, you can't quite tell probably, but is actually going constantly back and forth between the left and the right ears. And, of course, good usage of the high organ. and actually emphasizing the bass as one of the primary instruments there. And yeah, the whole thing is supposed to sound creepy. So more emphasis on the oboe or whatever that is. And you can hear how they pulled that that hi-hat or whatever way forward in the percussion. Like it's practically so they pushed the bass back and they pulled the percussion up in its place. And yeah, they or an organ grinder. I'm not sure what that is, but by the way, funny little anecdote. So between the original, the DS, and the Pixel remake, I have three separate spellings of Calbrina. So Pixel remake. Oh my god. That's horrifying. They've actually reversed the sound. It's playing the instrument in reverse. The song is forwards, but the instrument is backwards. Oh my god. That's good. And notice they keep making the instruments do that slide thing I was talking about, just to make it sound off. Yeah, this is terrifying. Yeah, this is really good for if you just need something that's really creepy, horrifying, terrifying for a scene. This is messed up. And I think it's looped. Yeah, it has. Okay, so it's... Wow, okay, way better. Terrifying song. So we successfully defeat the Calbrina. We go to Dr. Luge, who also has that song playing for him. But on the way to Dr. Luge, we have to go through the Tower of Babel, which is... Sorry, Bab-Il. My bad. Another classic castle song. Although I think this is actually on my Fortress playlist. Again, very military. You get the march beat is right there. You can hear it. Like, you can hear it. And primary being handled by the horns, and the music, yeah, the whole song is a constant ascension as we're going up the tower. I do rather like this song, obviously. And yeah, this is a military campaign song, which is apt. By this point in the story, you're supposed to be actually fighting the enemy, not just, you know, a dude in a dungeon. I mean, we're literally here to sabotage the cannons. And help the Dwarven campaign. Excuse me. So, DS version, which is up because it's, for some reason, it's up by the Chocobo theme. I don't know why. As usual, the horns are more subdued, keeping the percussion strong. They really pulled down the strings, which is unusual. The DS version usually has more emphasis on the strings. So what you're primarily hearing is the drum beat and the horn. I'm going to admit I don't like that main brass either. I don't like most of the DS's brass. It's weird that they emphasize it so much. Like, I'm having trouble pulling out the strings accompaniment, the harmony under there. So, doesn't feel like a military campaign. It just, I don't know what that feels like. But what it does feel like is the Pixel Remaster. Which, by the way, funny thing, so it's labeled Bab-ill in my thing here. Adding choir. Well, that's a military march. Damn. Just leaning into that. They've got the brass in the background going along with the percussion. And there's even a flute emphasizing the primary strings in the harmony. Yeah, wow, this is straight up military march. Notice they actually pull back some of the songs, so there's a tiny bit of a pause and a delay to really emphasize the beats of the march. It does sound kind of dwarven, doesn't it? Is that a loop? That's a loop. Really, really good. I really like that. Much improved, and I already liked the original. So that's awesome. Let me think. So we did that. We did that. Then we're going to go exploring for a little bit. First, we're going to have our first Meanwhile Elsewhere. The actual name for this song is Somewhere in the World, but this is literally the song I think of when I think of the concept of a Meanwhile Elsewhere. As with much of the original FF4 soundtrack, very simple. 3 instruments. Strings, harp, bass. That's it. And this song does exactly what it needs to. It's only a 20-second loop. But it's literally a perfect song for that kind of, I don't want to say dread, but you could tell, something bad. You get the feel of something bad is happening. And it's almost always being used to cut away to the villain, so that makes sense. There's that bass again. But it looks like same 3 instruments. Nope, I'm wrong. They added a horns in the background, some kind of brass. So 4 instruments. A little too hard. Comes a little too strong for the kind of somber, quiet tone this needs, but it's still good. Which leads us, of course, to the Pixel Remaster. Which is... oh my god, we found this town and everyone's dead. Okay, that's... it's more busy and less at the same time. Like, there's more instruments they've added, but they keep, like, starting and stopping with the tempo. And sometimes the instruments flow and sometimes they hard stop. Now it sounds like a 12. Yeah, that's good. Like, that shouldn't work, but it does. Instead of the kind of quiet dread of seeing the villains plotting, this feels like we cut away to, Golbez standing on the ashes of a town while burning someone to death. There's a lot more emotion put into it. Like, it's a far more immediate and present threat rather than being something distant on the horizon. That's tough to analyze. I don't have the words for that, but that's good. I like that. Okay, so we've seen, so we finished the Tower of Babel. We cut away. We go exploring, right? So the next thing we see is we go to Rydia's new home. I gotta find this one. Here we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and admit I've never liked this song. it gets across its point. This is the land of the summons. This is the mystical place of weird. And it's just a little off on purpose. Like that woodwind in the front is literally wrong and just a little bit off tempo, or not off frequency. Yeah, it feels warped. And it is doing that on purpose. It's just, you can see why I don't care for the song individually. It's also not calm, it's more subdued. This is not a place you relax in. This is a place where you're walking through jello. No, right, Evan Craig. And the way that they emphasize that with there's this sort of continual harp in the background, which is maintaining it, but the harp actually changes which chord, which octave it's playing through, periodically. Yeah, it also plays a Bahamas. All right, so we've got that. DS version. I don't remember what the DS version of this one sounds like. It's going to be down, because this is the... is this it? Yep, there we go. So we've got that woodwind in the front again. Yeah, this one does feel more off. They do pretty much all the same beats, though. The harp is still doing the same thing. The strings are still just a little bit off of the woodwind. The main thing they changed was the woodwind. No, I don't stream on Mondays, Active. And then it loops. So I'm really curious what they're doing with this in the new one. Change the tempo. Slowed it down a bit. Added the thing I keep not knowing the name of in the background. See you around, Ross. Enjoy NFL. It's certainly better than Streaminations, I'm sure. Which tier, Mr. Red? Yeah, this sound... What they're doing with the light wood percussion in the background sounds more like a more natural instrument, giving it a little bit more in the jungle kind of a vibe. It just feels like you're in the wild, more or less literally, like you found some kind of lost town that's been isolated for years, right? FF6 after, I suppose, Mr. Red. I'm not sure what I think of that. It is better. I obviously still don't care for the song, but I think that is better. I think we're really getting to the end game here, because there's not many new songs from this point on, so I think I need to answer my mother really quick. That sounds really good, exclamation mark. And really rich, period. So... we've got, we have to go to the moon, we have to be on the moon, we have to get the big news, we've got the final dungeon and the final battle, and actually that's it. So yeah, so let's go to the moon. Now, I'm going to go ahead and admit something. I have a playlist called Hope, and that playlist was built originally on this song. Do I need to explain why? That horn just reaching. And there's just a flow, and all of the music, all of the notes are very much on the major chord and going up and uplifting, and the strings is pulling it up. And there's this wonderful percussion emphasizing the whole thing, and it's just, we got this, right? I really like this song. Yeah, this feels so uplifting. I could just listen to that song. I'm not gonna force you to. We've already been streaming for like 3 hours. Don't worry, we're gonna do this again when FF5 comes out. Do you want me to do this when FF5 comes out? I want to do this, but I don't want to do it if you don't. Yes, no, vote now in chat. Where is it? There we go. DS version. And then, of course, FF6. Now, you notice I'm not saying it about this one? That's because there's nothing to say. This is almost a one-to-one copy of the original. Not in a bad way. It does manage pretty much everything the original did. But because of the extra emphasis on that one particular type of brass that the DS version uses, that high brass I keep referring to, and the emphasis on the percussion, this does feel a little bit more marchy, a little bit more military. But otherwise, this is effectively the same song. Not that it's a bad thing, I'm just pointing it out. There's not as much to analyze. So let's see what one of my most hopeful songs sounds like. The new version. Much deeper. I like what they do with those strings. There's actually a second layer of strings playing another harmony. A lot of stops in the music to emphasize the beats. Bringing in the bells, bringing in the chimes. I like this. Oh no, I agree, Jobbin. They even changed how the percussion works in the background by having different roles. And that's a loop. That's really good. That's great. That puts a smile on my face. Damn. That's way better. All right, so we need to push through these. Then we're on the moon. The artificial moon, of course. This is also on my sleep playlist. Usage of the star in the background. Using different... So what they do here, I don't know if you can quite hear it. There's different trumpets playing at different locations in the panning. So there's a trump here. They're all playing the one melody, but they're all different placed, so it feels just a little bit off. See around SJ. And yeah, the strings, of course, doing the same thing they did back in the Underworld, just kind of making... Yeah, Alien. This whole song just screams Alien. Not in a creepy way, just in a space kind of way. I don't know what to call this. It's also on my space playlist. And notice how it just smoothly transitions into the loop. Love that. Okay, whoop, whoop, whoop. Let's not hit the wrong button. So we've got the DS version. So, the high brass I keep referencing. And so, again, not much to share because it is almost a one-to-one of the original, which is fine, which leaves us with the new version. Oh, I like that. Much better than brass. Oh, that's good. That's a good instrument. I don't even know what that is, but yeah, that's just straight up space. Adding a few more sound effects in the background. It does, Melkor, and I agree, FN Craig. Yeah, no, this sounds way better. Wow. And then it loops. Notice they change how the star sound when it shows up. They changed when it shows up in the song, which I think was an interesting choice. So then we meet Fusoya, or Fusoya, depending on who you ask. And this is also the dungeon. I'm going to turn this up a bit because it's really quiet. This is also on my playlist, sleep playlist. This is brilliant, by the way. It's such a simple song. There's just a deep grand piano. Yeah, you could feel the emptiness of it, right? And there's a harp in the background with a piano in the front, and both fade as they're doing their tunes. And they just kind of slowly drift around on which chord they're playing. This is great atmospheric music. And again, only 3 instruments. There's a lot of that in FF4. Uematsu was just a genius, I'm sorry. I will not walk away from that opinion. And it actually loops in a very unusual place, too. Most songs have a pretty definitive end and beginning. Because of the nature of how those chords go up and down, it actually loops in the middle of going up, which is, in the original it goes down. So it kind of does 1.5 loops and then starts to loop. Very, very strange way of doing that. DS version. So same general idea, deep piano. And you see how, once again, the harps are spot on in the DS version. I do think they use them to good effect. It actually sounds like there's multiple instruments, but there aren't. It's just the way that they're layering on top of each other, which, again, is pretty brilliant. Excuse me. But again, you'll notice how this is, once again, pretty similar to the original, just with a different sound font, which is fine. Yeah, this feels a little bit more... Because they've pulled it up a little bit, and it's less subdued, it feels more like... Well, like someone's talking to you, like this is an exposition scene, which is appropriate, because Fusoya does a lot of exposition over this music. Yeah, contemplative, that's a good word for that. New version. Oh, that's long. That's a long song. Crystal chimes instead of the harp or piano. Yeah, way more foreboding. They added an extra layer to the chord. Hear it right at the end there? Right at the end of each thing, there's another extra chord that plays going up. Yeah, I know, Valvatrix, but for obvious reasons, I wanted to wait. And there's a choir in the background. Of course I will, Zachjot. I think that choir works really well. It's a low feminine ooh. Like, I know that doesn't sound at all like it, but you know what I mean. Okay, that's good. You hear what they're doing with the strings. They're trembling, too. Hey, Baron. And they keep adding extra little tidbits in the background, which help. Oh, and there it actually finally looped. That's good. Wow. It's not quite as empty as the original, but that sounds like the crystals right there. That actually sounds like you're in the crystal room or whatever, right? And you're talking to the crystals and all that. That's good. 2 songs left. Well, actually 3, but I'm not going to go through the ending because that's like a 20-minute song. So what we've got left is the final dungeon and the final battle. Now, I'm going to go ahead and admit, I know someone in chat, I'm not going to name who she is, but she absolutely hates FF4's last dungeon. I have to admit, I don't quite share the same perspective. But I do have to admit that part of the reason I like the last dungeon is because I absolutely love the song. It's one of my favorite last dungeon songs ever. I've actually done a couple remixes of this song because I love the song so much. It's actually called Into the Giant because it initially plays, you know, when you go into the freaking giant, the Giant of Babil. But this just screams last dungeon to me. And I love the way the strings are actually balancing the horn completely. They're following each note it plays, but slower and in the background. We had the harp. We actually get rid of the echoey sound. And God, that horn just sounds so triumphant. I can't be the only one who hears that. It sounds like it's screaming its triumph. Get back to the original. Sorry. Love that song. God, I love that song. New DS version. So, different version of the echoey thing at the beginning. And no, Nero says. So they don't go with the brassy horn. They go with a different one here, which is an interesting choice. Much less strong, much less triumphant. A little more contemplative. Yeah, the last one was very heroic. This one is more... preparing for the final dungeon, as I think the phrase I want to use there. By the way, this is also one of my favorite songs of all time. So let's see what they did with this one. This is the other big one I wanted to hear. It was 4 Fiends and this one. Let's just jump into it. That techno edge helps, I think. There's a lot of just techno added under that. But they don't pull away from the horn at all. Listen to that. Now we're in space. In the crystalline core. And yeah, it's a soul female singer in the background there. Really pulling in the brass. And there's a guitar now. strings pulled into the background, vibrating quietly. Still bits of the percussion, but only about 1/8 of the percussion is even still there. Just to keep the pacing going. While we switch down to the piano. Let's see how it bridges. Oh my god, that is awesome! That is legit. I could just keep listening to that. I'm not gonna. We're already running a little bit late here. I've been streaming for almost 3.5 hours. Let's do the last song that we're going to cover, which is the final boss. Everlasting Hatred. Now, I don't love this song like I do other boss songs in this game, but this is still a very well-constructed song. It follows most of the same mathematical formulas that Four Fiends does. Primary horns, secondary strings, and you can hear the harmony and the melody both constantly counterbalancing each other. And they've added that sort of the rock organ in the background. And they use the horn as an echo here by doing that. Then we pull up the strings. Strings takes the forefront. And then jumps to the front. Horns. I love how this balances itself. And yeah, it sounds like the horns and the strings are basically fighting each other. Which... And if you notice, the horns win at the end of the song. And then both go away and we get to the rock organ. And then the strings pull up as the bridge into the loop. Because we haven't won yet, right? So it's, oh god, very well constructed. Not super awesome, but extremely well built song. So I don't like the horns they chose here. You also notice they pulled down the strings a bit too much. So rather than the horns fighting the strings, it's just the horns is all you really hear. I think that changes in the second section. This does sound kind of MIDI, I would agree, which is funny, because it's not. I don't care for this version, I'll admit it. It's a much better boss fight in the DS version, I think, but I think it lacks everything it had that I was just gushing about. And so, and then it loops. Really quick, just to answer Cordoon. This is the song that plays for Neo X-Death. Actually, I'm sorry, hang on. I know what is it. This is... If it'll play. What are you doing, YouTube? I don't know what YouTube's doing. It's like stuttering on me. But this is not FF4, it's fine. There's a separate song. I know it sounds similar, but this is the FF5 last boss in FF14. Wow, he looks gross. In FF14. Anyways, so, moving on. We got one last version of the song to sound, and that's the Pixel Remaster version. I mean, if you're gonna have choir somewhere. That's an interesting choice. Notice how they just kind of stop and let that sit by itself there. Well, I haven't gotten a chance to look at it, Zactav. It actually feels like the choir is taking the place of the strings in the previous version of the two sides fighting. The strings are also doing this interesting panning thing. Way more energy, yeah. I'm like the DS version, they emphasize the horns more, but it makes a degree of sense to do that. Because the strings are accompanied by the choir, and that's the boss. And they definitely have pulled more energy into it. I'm not sure exactly what I think of the added emphasis on the bass and the percussion. But I do think this is better than the original. And I do think the choir fits. Almost. Yeah, I noticed that, Melkor. What does he look like? This one? There he is. No? Is that it? Looks like he looks the same. He just looks like Zeromus. They didn't change him at all. I was just curious. And that is it. Obviously, there is an ending song, but like I said, it's really long. Like, it's 12 minutes long. I'm not sitting here listening to 36 minutes of music, like, on top of the hour and a half we just did. So, I do hope you've enjoyed this kind of breakdown thing that we did. That was mostly really good. I would say, at the very least, a definite net positive for the Pixel Remaster stuff. Some different changes in tone and vibe. Some songs not quite as good. Several songs as good or better. Some songs absolutely amazing. That's fantastic. And as I think I've mentioned before, I am absolutely going to buy this game, even if I never play it, just to support the purchase of the soundtrack, because holy crap. Positive to music. Plus, so if nothing else, the Pixel Remaster will probably get a plus or 3 to music. Oh, wow. Okay. It's really late. In fact, it's so late, I kind of don't have time to do the Streaminations today. That took way longer than I thought it would. And because I have another thing scheduled for today, and I have another thing scheduled for today. So we're actually going to skip Streaminations today. I do apologize for anybody who cares about that. Next, no. Von Falkenstein. We don't know when the streaming is resuming. The streaming is incidental to the Trek Rewrite project, as weird as that may sound. It's like bonus material on top of it. But yeah, I do apologize for having taken so long to do that. Really quick, thank you very much, Vigilant. As always, appreciate. I don't understand your statement. If you want to explain yourself, I'm going to chop off the local recording.